Umar Johnson, would you like to come on up?
All right, peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. How's everybody doing today? Now, I know we came to see Brother Umar, but let this be a reminder. Every time we get together, let's be very strategic about our actions. It's very important that we build our community plan. Now, when we get together, we get motivated having these conversations, but then also being strategic enough to make stuff happen. In our city right now, man, we are just struggling to find some balance. And for black people, every one of you up in here today, it's vital that we come together in all facets. That we get our economics together, we get our educational system so our young people have a foundation to stand on. We talk about public health because mental health is an issue. A lot of us is playing crazy. And until we start getting our affairs in order, man, ain't nothing gonna change for us. Do you understand that they seek to make the black class the permanent lower class? We're gonna run around protest when somebody get killed? Or we're gonna be on the front end being proactive, making stuff shake? We're gonna be getting folks out of office who don't need to be there. We're gonna put money into businesses and patronize black folks when we see them out here trying to do their thing. Absolutely. Right? We're gonna protect our women and our children to be men. Right? That's what they need. If we ain't on that type of time, we ain't talk about nothing. We're gonna keep it getting done the way that we've been done. Like, if we don't respect our citizens, nobody will respect us. We're doing better in the days of Reconstruction than what we're doing today. And everybody got access to everything. Everybody seems free right now. Everybody seems to be getting money. Everybody seems to be working 40 to 60 hours a week. But ultimately, we're not making a move that need to be made that's gonna change the game. And so, my thing to us, let's do something different. Let's do something we ain't never done before. Let's be visionaries for the future. We can start locally in our local community of Flint. It's a culture issue, bro. Listen, I've been in Haiti, I've been to Africa 3 times, right? It's a culture issue. This is something that's going around globally because we talk about capitalism, right? We should be more in the mindset of socialism. But we started saying that, then they started getting scared, right? And if you don't know what Martin Luther King was standing for, yeah, they was fine with him talking about getting along and being peaceful and standing with one another, living the dream. But when he started talking about going to Washington to get that check, the game changed. He said, no, we can't have that. So for us coming up nowadays, for us standing in the fight, in the gap, for brothers like Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Mansa Musa, it's time for us to start getting our finances together. I always want to harp on that. It's time for us to really get our affairs in order. Let's go get that check. Absolutely. And then when we get that check, let's be productive. Make sense? Makes sense. So I appreciate everybody coming out. My name is DeWaun Robinson. I do lead the Black Lives Matter effort in here. Not only that, I'm a proud member of Fli-City, the Imperial brothers right here. Let's make some noise for these brothers in the house. Also serve on the Flint Housing Commission, so you're interested in Section 8, things of that nature. We don't want to just be renters, we want to be homeowners. That's what we be talking about. We're going to make sure we stand up. One thing when we talk about ownership, let's be into ownership. We cannot pass down apartments. Our children can't inherit apartments. Let me say it again. Our children will not and cannot inherit apartments. Be owners in your neighborhood. That's how it starts. If we can start in my block, if I can start with my home, if I can clean in my area, I can watch the children in my neighborhood, and I can be able to do it in continuity, then more people start doing it. Next thing you know, we got that village concept we grew up with. We're trying to get back to that. We ain't got, it's no thing for us going against each other no more. And I understand that we may have issues with one another. But one thing for sure, we got to learn how to diffuse that. We got to learn how to get along, to play along. We got to know how to coexist with one another. You shouldn't be beefing and fighting with somebody that look like you. I remember when I was locked down, they were trying to give me 7 to 15. I told them, listen, man, this will be the last time I find myself in this type of situation. I would never sell drugs in my neighborhood. I would never try to take from another brother. I would never try to do these sisters wrong. And I'm only accountable for myself. You gotta look in the mirror. Everybody has to look at themselves first and foremost before you make change for everybody else. So I leave you with this thought. What are you gonna do to change the game? What is your part? How are we holding you accountable? How are you gonna respect us as a group, as a collective? I want you to think about those things. So next time you see one another out in the streets, you see them at the local community center, you might see them at Walmart, you might see them at the Dollar General. I want you to have an answer for how we're gonna move and advance our culture moving forward from this day. And be very diligent about it. Be bold about being black. Be strong about who you are. Love your culture. We didn't just begin in slavery. That's crazy. Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. But you gotta know that. You gotta pass those information down. We come from the first dynasty. Do you understand that we are the original people?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
That's a certain type of element that comes with that. That means so much. People be jealous of you. Real quick, when I was in Egypt, I was in the Luxor temple, I was standing in the King Ramesses temple. You know, it was an Arabic that came to me and told me, man, listen, man, you got the spirit of a young king. And it was so profound because I really just like taking it all in because of the ambience that I was in. But then when he broke it down, he said, listen, man, when a black man wake up, the game's over. But listen, I'm telling y'all, wake up. Peace and blessings.
Robinson, black man, wake up. Appreciate that. Let me turn this mic up. Can everybody hear me? No. How about now? Is that a little better?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody. We have, as black folks, Africans, whatever you want to call yourself or whatever other people want to call you, we still are one. Whether we're Christian, Muslim, or any other types of religion, we have that all in this space right now. Aren't we a beautiful people? Aren't we a beautiful people? Yes. I'm going to invite another one of my fraternity brothers up to say a word. Christian pastor, great pastor, Pastor Leslie Lee. Would you come on up, brother Pastor Lee? Speak on the book of the work.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to come up here and speak. I wasn't planned or on schedule, but I think this would be a great event for all of us to take part in this. I would like to acknowledge, first of all, I am a Christian, but I would like to acknowledge the Nation of Islam brothers for the beautiful services that they provide for events for people like this and for us like in the community. Like the night for the security. I thank y'all for coming and keeping us brothers secure, helping us stay secure. Y'all just keep up the good work. So I'm not gonna prolong me being up here. Like I said, it's an honor and a pleasure to come up here, and it's hopefully the brother will come and say something that will unite all of us together. Because one of the things about it, it is a situation out there that's making us think that we're enemies to one another. And we all should be practicing love. We all should stop being haters of one another. We all, you know, some of us identify God in a different way, but I'm a firm believer if God got a blessing for you, he also got one for me. And if you take time to see, I'm an individual that at one point in time that came to this community and I wreaked havoc on the community by the actions that I demonstrated. I'm an individual that's never stepped foot in a high school in my life. I achieved my GED when I was incarcerated in the prisons. But a couple of years ago, I graduated with my second master's. It's all because I decided to stop wreaking havoc on the community and stop trying to do the wrong thing and start saying, I'm gonna start investing in the community. And if I'm an individual that can change my life, if I'm an individual that can start being productive in society, there's no reason why you individuals sitting out there with no felonies on your record, with no nothing, that can be successful in life. So please take this opportunity to come here to learn something and how we can be productive in society. Thank you.
We have a wonderful imam in the house. Imam Hassan will come up and say a couple words. How's everybody doing? I'm new to Flint. Thank you. I've been a guest in here, came to teach theology in Semitic languages since June. And I can say from traveling throughout America and throughout the world, as the brother was mentioning, we're having the same story in too many different places, right? So at this point, it means that there has to be a level of accountability on our part. And I don't like to speak to you, I like to speak with you. So I have a question for everybody sitting here. Anybody can answer. When does accountability kick in? When do we hold ourselves or anybody else responsible? That's a real question. At home first.
When you have consciousness of it.
When you have consciousness. Anyone else?
When you know better.
When you know better. When you acknowledge there's a problem. Beautiful answers. I'll give everything that they said in short. When opportunity and ability meet, responsibility kicks in. I'll say it again. When ability and opportunity meet. Anywhere there's an opportunity but lack of ability, then the person is not accountable. Anytime there is ability but no opportunity, then the person is not accountable. But when ability and opportunity come together, responsibility kicks in. This is when you say, why aren't you doing what should be done? You have the ability and you have the opportunity. Why are you sitting still? I studied theology in Al-Azhar University in Cairo. And I learned a lot of life skills studying abroad. From them, is a very, 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 for me, profound statement. They say, in the Semitic language, Arabic, they say, لا تجعل وجودك كعدمك. لا تجعل وجودك كعدمك. Which translates into the English language to mean, do not allow your presence to be the same as your absence. Do not allow your presence to be the same as your absence. I'll explain. When a person is absent, they're a non-factor. They can't bring any benefit nor harm. Don't allow your presence to be the same way. If your absence doesn't have an impact, your presence didn't make a difference. I'll say it again. If when your absence, no one is saying, where's so-and-so? Oh, we need such and such done because so-and-so is the one that fills that gap. And when you're gone, it's something missing. So if your absence does not have an impact, your presence didn't make a difference. So if you're here, have a presence, have a reality, not a concept. We don't want the speech, because we're very spiritual people. And a lot of times we like deep conversations, but we don't want a deep conversation to start at the tip of the tongue and end at the base of the tongue. It has nothing to do with the heart, and it doesn't extend to the limbs. We want to have speech that, all of our leaders were murdered in front of our faces. And that is supposed to have a lasting effect of fear, so we would never step up to do anything like they did before. That's the goal. Could you imagine seeing the most powerful person that looks like you shot down and murdered in front of your face, the psychological and emotional damage that does for generations? So now, to bring attention to it and say, no, just because
so-and-so was murdered, it doesn't stop there. We talk a lot, or I see a lot since I've been back. I've been back in the States off and on since 2019. And I'm normally here for maybe 3 to 6 months at a time, and then I'm back in Africa. I noticed that there's a big spread of what they call generational wealth. Generational wealth. And it's always talking about colored paper as generational wealth. Or most of the time talking about, collecting colored paper money as generational wealth. What is the most, in order to establish or to make generational wealth a reality, what is the most important component? It's a question.
Knowledge.
Land, knowledge.
Wisdom.
Can't hear. Anyone? Land, knowledge.
Wisdom. Structure.
Wisdom, structure, beautiful. I like structure. I like the last one, structure. So let's pivot off structure. So when we say for generational wealth we need structure, what does that translate into, this structure that we're talking about? Again? Before business. Family. We're talking about the human component. No, but let's stick with family. So structure, family. Family. So now what part of family translates into generational wealth? You know this. Again, the father. Beautiful. I'll sum up what was said. The main component, the human element of generational wealth is that the next generation has to be on board. It doesn't matter what you amass, land. It doesn't matter the knowledge you acquire. It doesn't matter the degrees that you have. It doesn't matter how much wealth that you gain. If the next generation is not on board, that's the end of generational wealth. So the next generation has to be born and bred on the fact that they're going to carry the baton. The next generation has to be born and bred. Stop the foolishness of, I want him to make his own decisions. I mix with so many different cultures as an imam. So many different cultures. And one thing I look at is that they don't believe in, I'm going to let my child make a choice. If he comes to a family of doctors, guess what he's going to be? If he comes from a family of lawyers, guess what he's going to be? If he comes from a family of engineers, guess what he's going to be? And we got our children making choices, and look at the result. How are we going to let somebody inexperienced and uneducated to make a choice on what they're going to be in the future? So in order for it to be generational wealth, what it used to be is, he's a carpenter. Why? He came from a family of carpenters. He's a brick mason. Why? Because he came from a family of brick masons. He's a farmer. Why? Because he came from a family of farmers, and that is what generational wealth used to be. It should be a trade of skills and a mentality that was handed down with pride in it. We made that chairs is made from this type of wood and this type of craftsmanship and like that. My family are the chair makers, proud. Because he knew that no one could do what they did. That was generational wealth. It's not colored paper. I've lived in countries that had revolutions, and while they were having a revolution, they negated a whole currency to the point they told you have 24 hours, you have 1 week to turn in. You may have stacks and stacks of this colored paper, and you realize it doesn't have value. They say if you don't get here before such and such a date, all the money that you have amassed will be invalid. And they're serious. I left Yemen. When I left Yemen, I had about maybe 80,000 Yemeni riyals. 80,000. And I went to Egypt with those riyals. And in Yemen, those riyals were worth maybe about, I want to say about $400. It's like, if I can remember, this was back in 2001. So when I got to Egypt, 2003, they wanted to give me $40 for it. Colored paper means nothing. It means nothing. So now generational wealth is a skill that is handed down. We have to get skills. They fooled us. I have degrees. What's the point though? They took away from skills. I remember in high school and junior high school, they used to have auto shop. They used to have home ec. They had skills. You could actually make money while in high school. They took away the skills and started selling us high-priced papers. High-priced papers. And then if you don't have enough wealth to fund your own so-called education, guess what's going to happen? You didn't do an internship. They're going to say, oh, these beautiful grades and beautiful degrees, but where's your experience? What are you talking about? I was in school. I just graduated. What do you mean, where's my experience? You're overeducated, underqualified. Now you got to go get some experience. Oh. But guess what? If you had that skill that they were giving, we look at our families in the early 60s and even until the early 70s, we actually affect families. I remember even Family Feuds. I lived on, I'm originally from Philadelphia, by the way. So we used to have, I grew up on 47th and Hazel Avenue in Philadelphia. We were known, the Bookhart family and the Johnson family are beefing, but it was known as a family. It wasn't such thing as an individual beefing because his father had a problem with his father or his grandfather. It was whole families, and that was taken away. And they started knocking on the door, the truancy officers, if you missed school, and they disrespected your father by asking for your mother. Says your mother home. Even when the school calls the house, they don't ask for the father. They expect the father not to be there. Where's your mother? So as someone said, what is generational wealth? They said family. They said structure. All of these answers are correct, but we heard them separately. Now let's put them together and make a recipe. Let's put them together to make a recipe. So all of these things are very important. Also, if we study our roots, many of us, we're studying DNA. Okay, and we're saying, I'm originally from here and there. Okay, so extend your stuff to here and there. Not just Flint. If the opportunity and ability meets, travel to Africa with the intent. Some of us come from a long line of conquerors to conquer an acre, 2 acres, 5 acres in your name. In your name. And let your children know, oh no, we have land in the Congo. Oh no, we have land in Liberia. Oh no, we have land in the Gambia. We have that, and even though we're back here doing what we're doing, do not restrict yourself to these borders because we didn't used to be restricted to borders. So don't restrict yourself here. And you're going to experience, I've been 2.5 decades, traveling back and forth between America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and don't restrict yourself to any border. Enlighten yourself by embracing and getting to know other cultures and other situations. You'll be surprised at the treatment you receive outside of these borders. You'll be surprised at what you can achieve outside of these borders. So it doesn't mean don't achieve here. I'm not telling you to run and flee, and I'm going back to Africa and I'm not going to do anything here. But I'm telling you to expand your opportunities by expanding the horizon, not restricting yourself to borders. You're not restricted, and you don't need to be restricted. You know, they say that the American passport is one of the strongest passports in the world, one of the least used, because we've been brainwashed to believe in America is the world. We believe America is the world. And guess what? They believe, people never believe America is the world. So while they're leaving beautiful, fertile land, I'm talking about acres for 1,500 that's growing banana trees, mango trees, cashew trees. While that's being abandoned to come to a concrete jungle, you can be over there and for pennies on a dollar, own an empire. Own an empire. So expand your horizon. I wrote a book in '96 called The Evil That Men Do. And in 2019, I never published it. In 2019, I changed the name of it to Word War. And in it, it's a piece from '96. And it's amazing because being back and forth and then coming back to America, it's amazing how something that old, something I wrote in 1996 can still be relevant today. So it's a piece I wrote, it's called Pandemonium. So I said, you, me, we, us, from ashes to dust, from dawn till dusk we fight and fuss. But I ask, why, as we kill and we die, with blood on my hands and tears in my eyes? Who will be saved and who will be enslaved by those who behave barbaric depraved? Is there a cure for the carnivore? And who'll rest in peace while the world is at war? And the ozone is like no zone, where little girls put down their ice cream cones to pick up silicone. And private dancers catch cancer from penis enhancers, while little boys put down their toys for the real McCoy that can kill and destroy.
Wow.
Exotic, hypnotic, robotic, psychotic, if you want it, we got it. Now the whole world needs a purdah from sex, money, and murder. The cemetery's crowded, the sky stays clouded, so the mystery is still shrouded for all those who doubt it. And every mammal is a cannibal. man, woman, and animal. Even the birds and the bees carry incurable disease. So while NASA's searching for R2-D2, they still don't understand me and you. There is no room for aliens amongst my fellow men. How can we accept a little green brother when we're still killing each other? Pandemonium. Wow. So, thank you. It is about, across the board, in the three main religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the creation of man is the same from dust. Now, I remember an older gentleman in Egypt. He said, everything needs to be attached to its origin. He said, so man was created from dirt. So he's not complete until he owns a piece of it. And woman was created from man. So she's not complete until she has one. This is about completion. Those families, and those families establishing legacy. That's what it used to be. When I go abroad, you know, it's amazing how they track themselves in their names. That's another game they play with our names. In their names, they track themselves. When my children that were born abroad, they had to be named differently. They don't allow you just to give any middle name that you want to give. My children born abroad, their name is, the name that I named them, like my son, Ibrahim. They named him Ibrahim. His second name is Hassan. Who's Hassan? Me. His first name is his name. His second name is his father's name. His third name is my father's name. His lineage is in his name. This is how they track and keep hold of it. Forget DNA. What's his name? His name is Ibrahim, Hassan, Frank, my grandfather. So I got two Franks. Frank, my grandfather. So they know his lineage up into his grandfather and great-grandfather, depending on, because some countries require you to have 4 names. Legacy. This is what we get when we explore the world. Don't stay trapped in these borders. Do what you're going to do in these borders. Establish what you're going to establish in these borders. Achieve what you're going to achieve. But at the same time, the world is yours. You have the strongest passport. They say only 20% of Caucasian Americans use their passport, have a passport. And only 5% of Black Americans have a passport. And then those who have it, they're going real close. Jamaica, Trinidad. No, go, travel, see the world. See the world, taste the fruits of the different world. Know that this whole world belongs to you, not just the United States, not just Flint, this whole world. You can touch down anywhere you want and leave a real legacy for you and for your children. Because one thing we have to understand, you might not be here to see the job get done. It's not important. The important thing is that you lay the groundwork. That's our problem. We want to see it. If we look at, let's talk about being an entrepreneur. Our issue is that we want to see the result. And instead of only being responsible for the process, where other cultures, they're not worried about seeing the result. They just want to be responsible for laying the groundwork. They know it's going to get done. Whether they see it or not, it's going to get done. And this we have to realize. And this is when you mix with other cultures, you look in, you see what they have, what they've established, and how they established it. I built a house in Alexandria, Egypt in 2014. And the way it was done, I had friends from India, Palestine, and Jordan. They invited me to do something which is called a jam'iyya. In Arabic, it means like a collection pot, a jam'iyya. So what happened? 20 of us came together. And everybody put up $1,000 a month. And one person got it. Everybody put up $1,000 a month, and one person got it until it went around to every single person. When you see these buildings or these stores popping up, and you see these foreigners come, how did they get established so quick? Because they work like this. They work like this. They say, okay, they do it in 2 ways. They say, we're going to do a jam'iyya, we're going to do a collection pot. The first way they do it is the most needy first. So 10 people, everybody put up $1,000, and the most needy gets it, and then the second needy, and then the second needy, and like that. And then another way they do it is that they put the hats in the pot, shake them up, whoever names come out first, he's first on the list. But everybody gets it bulk. Another group of businessmen from Jordan, they invited me to the money pot. but it was out of my league. Everybody's putting up a 5,000 a month. It was out of my league. But this is how they make moves. They understand it's pointless in counting your numbers if your numbers don't have strength. We have to have strength in numbers. And if our numbers are just something to be counted, but it doesn't have an impact, we have a problem, people. We have a problem. So we have to have strength in numbers. And it starts inside that household. Because if inside the house is divided, there's no way the community is going to be united. If this guy doesn't even speak to his blood brother. If this guy, something that's not from our culture, if this guy, because he has a different father, is calling his brother half brother, when did we start doing that? When did we start? Because he has a different mother or a different father, we'll start saying half brother. Is that down here? Because I don't know about that up north. Philly, we don't do, there's no such thing as a half brother. If you came from your father's loin or your mother's womb, that's your brother. That's the end of it. Right? So, the brother was up, the pastor, he said it's a cultural issue with you or the other brother? Somebody said, yeah, he said it was cultural. It's definitely a cultural issue. And we can't be arrogant. We have to have the ability to say, you know what? They do have good cultural traits. We need to adopt that. Why? Because we went through a period, we're in rehab right now. So we went through a period, we were stripped of that. We were stripped of that. So how do we get back? When we recognize our old unity before division, we say, okay, we want that back. We don't say, well, I'm not copying off them. That's not my culture. For what? Why not? If it's a good thing, why not adopt it? Why not adopt it? If it's a good thing. If we see other people being successful through these behavior patterns, why not adopt it? Why not, whoever in here that may be pregnant or thinking about going for it, why not say, okay, the next child that I have is going to get their name, then my name, then my father's name. Why not? Why not start the return? Forget the DNA test. Return to your lineage by counting your people. So it's very important. Now, I'll mention another incident that happened in 14, city of Philadelphia. So what happened was, and it was a write-up in the newspaper that there was a young African-American man looking for employment. He was informed that there's a Japanese man who eventually they became friends. That's how the story got into the paper. A Japanese man was hiring. So he went, to get the job. When he got there, Japanese man said, I'm not hiring. He said, you're also hiring. And he mentioned the inside scoop, this inside connector told him he was hiring. He said, okay, yeah, but no, I'm not hiring. I'm hiring, but I'm not hiring. So the African-American gentleman said, you're racist. He said, why do you call me racist? Why do you think because I'm not hiring? He said, because you only hire your people. The response of this Japanese man was amazing. I'm talking about, it's a life lesson. He said to this young man, just because I'm pro-me doesn't mean I'm anti-you. Just because I'm pro-me doesn't mean I'm anti-you. He said, America dropped 2 bomb people, and we're still recovering. My issue is that when I hire my people, the money goes back to rebuild my infrastructure, my land. And when I hire your people, that money goes back to build the infrastructure of the people that bomb my people. So why should I hire you? That's self-love. That's having love for your people. So now, go back to the statement, don't let your presence be the same as your absence. We look around and you say, to yourself, before to anyone else, how much of a benefit is my presence to the people around me? What do people, not what I can get, sometimes we have that attitude. Well, how much is the benefit to those, are those around me to me? But let's start at how much of a benefit am I? What does my presence give off? What can I contribute that the people can't do without? And if I can't be a benefit, If I can't be a benefit, at the very least, I'm not harmful. My presence doesn't bother anybody. My presence doesn't harm anybody. This is the very least benefit a human being can be, that my presence is not harmful. It doesn't take away from anything. It doesn't cause disruption to anything. That's the very least we can be. And this is important. And then once we establish that in our hearts and minds as individuals, then after that, it can be extended. It has to happen to the individual, and then to the household, and then to the street, and then to the neighborhood, the city or the town, the state, and this is how you get a civilization. Because every society is not a civilization. Does anybody know the difference between society and a civilization? What is a society? Huh? Not a colony, a society. Culture is part of it. In order to have a society, first of all, you need a landmass. After that, the second, you need the human component. Then, as the brother is saying, then after that, you need a group of actions and statements, dress codes and foods that make up culture. At that point, you have a society. But it's still not a civilization until you have faith, safety, respect, honor, trustworthiness, integrity. This is what makes a society a civilization. So anytime you find yourself in a society where faith is gone, this is the main evidence of the decay. Faith is gone. Safety is gone. Respect is gone. Honor is gone. Trust is gone. Integrity is gone. So any society based on the level of the diminishing of these aspects of the society, it's no longer a civilization. If you're not safe, the more dangerous the society you live in is, that's the furthest you are from civilization. The less respect you have in your society, then the further you're away from having an actual civilization. The less integrity you have, honor, trustworthiness, when these aspects are lost in the human being, then you no longer have a civilization. Because this is what makes us different from the animals in the wild. This is what we're seeking to establish. Everywhere we're present, first as individuals, then as families. And we have to get back to being families. We have to get back to being families. Why is it that other cultures, when the mother and father separate or they're divorced, it's called separation and co-parenting, but in our homes, if the mother and father is separate or divorced, it's called a broken home. Why is it broken? For us, it's broken. For them, it's separation. No, it's broken home. It would be lovely. See, the thing we have to understand is you have the ideal situation, you have the real situation. In the ideal situation, the mother and father meet, maybe in high school. Dad goes talk to, I'm talking about spirituality now. The father, when he likes the girl, the guy, when he likes the girl, he goes talks to her father. He goes and talks to her father. And this is very important. We have to be returned. And I'm going to go sidebar real quick before getting back to that. Women, we need you to take your true position in society. You have to stand up. You cannot be fooled by the images they're giving you to be. In the 24th chapter, I'm a Muslim, in the 24th chapter of the Holy Quran, and it's also mentioned in the Bible, I just forget where in the Bible. It says, and I know this is people are going to shock about this, but it's mentioned in the Bible too, by the way. So anyway, the pastor probably can tell you where it is. So it says, الزانية والزاني فاجلدوا كل واحد منهما 100 جلدة. It said the female and male fornicator. The Arabic language, Semitic languages are very precise. So there are terms that can be used to address everyone. And there are terms that can be used that can be very gender specific. There are terms that can be used that can be age specific. There are so many specifications in Semitic languages, whether it be Arabic, Hebrew, Kiswahili. It can be very specific or very general. So in this chapter 24, it's gender specific. It says the female and male fornicator, give both of them 100 lashes and do not feel any remorse for them in the path of God. So Islamic theologians, they say, it could have just said fornicators, and it was males and females who were included. Why was the woman mentioned first and then the man? So in the study, it proclaims that because the woman is the one who controls the chastity of society. If the woman is chaste, the society will be chaste. And if the woman is not, then the society will be not. Because there's no act of fornication or adultery that can happen except with the permission of a woman. If you women, for men, it's nothing like having one of you, two of you, three of you, right? So we want women. Men want women. You set the rules on how we get you. You raise the bar, we jump higher. You lower the bar, we step over. If you don't want fleas, don't get a dog. Because if you lay down with a dog, you're almost guaranteed to get fleas. So step up, ladies. Raise the bar. Say it. Talk to my brother. This is how it used to be in the South. Shotgun weddings. Everybody know what that was about, right? What was a shotgun wedding about? You soiled my daughter. You're going to make her right now. Call the priest. Call the preacher. Why? Preacher's there for two reasons. Either to do a marriage or a funeral. One of the two. He's either going to do a marriage or a funeral. You soiled my girl, so now you got to make her right. We got to get back to that, families. Why? And then they say, I remember when I was 15, my high school sweetheart, I wanted to marry her. And then my parents are like, and then I was confused. Because my mother was saying, I don't want you running around like a dog and you running around sleep with all these girls, this and that. I said, okay, Mom. And then one of my close friends, Monty, and I started talking to his younger sister, Corey, and I wanted to marry her. I loved her so much. And I said, Mom, and I told my father, Abu, I want to marry Corey. And he said, you're too young. I said, okay. I'm not supposed to be a dog. I'm not supposed to run around. Now that I want to get married, I'm too young to get married. So the thing is, if they're going to do, our youth and our adults, if you're going to do everything that married people do, then what's the problem with the contract? Are you afraid of responsibility? Yep. Make us responsible, ladies. Make us responsible. Raise the bar. Say, listen, no, this now is off limits. Show me that you want it for real, for good, permanently. Trust me, if you do this, men will step up and do it. If we can't get you except through marriage, we're going to get married to get you. So you're responsible, and that's just a sidebar about talking about what a society is, really, in reality. If he's not willing to make a commitment and provide for you food, clothing, shelter, education, medical care, what makes you going to think he's going to do it in the back end if he didn't do it on the front end? Why buy the cow when the milk is free? So it's a sidebar. Ladies, step up. Step up. We're going to step up, I guarantee you. And the man that doesn't step up, he doesn't want to walk. Okay? I'm going through the issue. My son Ibrahim in Egypt, he just turned 19. He said, he messaged me, I'm trying to get married. It's a girl that works at the store. Guess how it goes there? He's not going to be able to get with her until I talk to her father. He can't go directly to her father. That's the culture. Adopt it, y'all. That's the culture. Until I talk to her father, he is no way in. He doesn't know. And then when I talk to her father, the first thing her father's going to ask me, who are you connected to? Who are your people? Who are your people? And then after that, they're going to say, okay, he wants my daughter, where is she going to live? He has to have a home. He has to have a home ready before finding a girl. This is how it goes. Those cultures have less divorce rate and all of the things that we go through because of those demands in the beginning. So this is something very important that we have to adopt from other cultures because it used to be our way. It used to be our way. Okay, back to having a civilization. You cannot be a harm where you are. Are your neighbors safe from you? Are your neighbors safe? And I'm not just talking about just from violence. Can your neighbor leave his house without worrying about you watching his wife come to and from? Can your neighbor leave her house without worrying about you watching her husband come to and from? Can we greet one another without being seductive? Hey? Are we purposely being a temptation for other people's spouses? You are harmed then. Because if the male or the female falls for the seduction, and then that family falls apart, what have you done for the society? Small things like that. Well, they're not small things, they're great things. These are the things that are destroying us. These are the things that are tearing us apart. These are the things when it comes to our manners and our character. When we should know how to speak, how to behave. We should be taught those things, to wear clean underwear and don't be loud. I taught at the British Academy in Egypt. I taught an English curriculum. And it was from 1882. In this curriculum, it said, it was for ladies. It said, and thou shalt not, it was the etiquette book. It said, thou shalt not, for ladies, smile to the point that your teeth can be seen to a man that is not from your relatives, lest you be accused. So when a girl then, 1882, would show all her teeth to a man that she wasn't related to, she was considered loose. Yeah. This is not foreign policy. This is etiquettes that were taught here in the United States. This etiquettes were taught. What happened to etiquette classes? Just teach the young lady how to walk, keep herself covered, dress down to her calf, right? She didn't show up to her forearm and like that. That was for somebody special. That was for somebody special. So, ladies, once again, I'm going back at the ladies. If you want to be treated special, you have to treat yourself special. I remember I watched an old interview of Muhammad Ali. And he said, everything that's valuable, you have to dig to get it. It's covered. You have to dig to get it. Everything is valuable: oil, gold, silver, diamonds, ore, uranium. Where you find it? Tucked away. Everybody can't get to it. You go into a jewelry store. The valuable jewelry, where is it at? It's in the safe, it's in the back. The cheap jewelry, where's it at? On display. The cheap jewelry is on display. The valuable stuff, okay, yeah, he goes back to the safe, opens it up, and watches you like a hawk. Locks the door, you got to be buzzed out. Locks the door, making sure you don't take off with the good stuff. The platinum and the blue diamonds and the pink diamonds, all of that stuff is in the safe. Stuff is on the display, 10 karat gold, 14 karat gold, stuff that's mixed, gold plated. That's what's out there on display. Men, there's a such thing by nature, and we're above animals because we have intellect. By nature, men, we're supposed to have that which is natural masculinity. And part of having natural masculinity is having natural jealousy for your woman folk. I'm not just talking about your girlfriend, I'm talking about your mother, your sister, your niece, your aunt. That you have a problem with the man approaching them and they haven't approached you. It should be an issue. You know, it's an Arabic saying, it says, لما ماتت غيرة الرجال انتحر حياء النساء. They say, when the jealousy, the protective jealousy of men died, the shyness of women committed suicide. When the projective jealousy of men died, the shyness of women committed suicide. What happened to, oh, who are you? Were you talking to my sister? What are you doing talking to that boy? What happened to that? Now it's mind your business. Oh man, that's her. She's going to do what she wants. I'm not going to. What happened to this? We have to bring back value. And I know some people are listening to me, they think, oh, he's a Muslim, this is a religious thing. This is cultural, as the brother said. Around the world, the women are protected in this way, beyond religious borders. The Christian men protect their women folk this way. The pagan, there are some people that still have to practice ancient African religions. They have a protection code for their women. Even the animals, birds and bees, dogs and cats, they have rituals of what they do that let you know that those two birds are together. Those two cats are together. Even a dog has enough jealousy to pee in his domain and bark if another dog tries to come in that domain where his women folk are. Come on, man. Come on. How can you just release? Yes, sir. How can you just release your women to another man without checking him and making sure he's going to be responsible for her? A father. Okay, my daughters have 7. Fed, clothed, sheltered, educated. You think you're going to just pull her away from me and you can't guarantee to give her, at the very least, what I give her? What I've been giving her for the last 15, 18, 30 years? You're going to get my daughter without me chasing you down? Without it being a problem? So respect. Respect. Knock on the door. You like her, it's okay that you like her. Talk to her father. Talk to her brother. Ask, is any male representative around? And restore that, regardless if she's willing to be with you without their permission or not. Make her respect them. Maybe that man doesn't have the proper natural protective jealousy over his women folk. Restore it to him, remind him what he's supposed to be doing. Because we forget something. Let's return these values to our people by returning respect. I'm not waiting. I don't believe the statement people make, respect has to be earned. What are you talking about? So you're disrespectful? If people have to earn your respect before you give it, that means you're disrespectful. No, I respect you from the beginning. I'm going to give you every single one of you. I don't know any of you, but I will give you my respect from the beginning. As soon as I meet you, I don't know your name. I respect you. But you can cause that respect to diminish by your behavior. You don't have to earn it. I'm going to give it to you. Why? Because I'm not disrespectful. But then after that, based on your behavior and based on your manners, then I'm going to say, I look at you different now. And that's how it's supposed to go. So we need to remind one another. And I don't want to be long-winded, but I just want to, fill up this time with reminders and things to just bring us back to being human beings. We're not animals. We don't mate. We don't sniff a female and jump on her back. What's going on? What are we doing? Bathrooms and stairways and what are we doing? We're human. We're doing things in places, but they're animals. We're behaving like animals. What are we doing? I'm living overseas. How many times I have to come to our defense? In Egypt, I had a friend named Fraternity from Philadelphia also. He was selling used Timberland boots and sweatsuits and like that over Egypt. They love American clothes. But they got the following of American dress from videos and, rap songs and like that. So they asked him, when are you going to come back with more nigger clothes? Yeah. So at the beginning, when you hear that, like, these guys are rich, they call those niggers. No, that's what they say in the video. Those who wear those clothes call themselves and one another niggers. So they thought the name of the clothes were niggers, or the style was nigger clothes. And this is what I had to defend. No, that's not what that means. It's called hip hop. And now I have to defend foolishness. So we have to represent ourselves better. We have to pull ourselves up, and we have to be human. Human's color. Man is this erect being that stands on two, that has an intellect, a mind, and a soul. So I leave just with a piece of poetry. What's in a name? Because names are very important. A friend and I had a dispute about people who change their names. He said, a name is a name. So what's in a name? I said, wait, let me explain. You see, Jack and Jill went up a hill to a place that was discreet, but Jill was forced to climb the hill. She was tired of being beat. Now, Jack raped Jill repeatedly, and Jill bore Jack a son. As a matter of fact, on all plantations, that's the way that things were done. The men were hanged or beat to death. The women put to shame. This eventually became the way the slaves were given names. Jack, son. William, son. Richard, son. John, son. There were many different methods used, and they all can date way back. We used to be named according to color, but now the browns are probably blacks. There was another method commonly used. It was according to your job. You had the family who picked the corn all day. Everybody called the cobs. Who worked for the greens, who were often called the fields. But when they took front line in the Civil War, the names would change to shields. The cotmans made the master's bed. The cooks, they fixed his meals. The fishers, who worked next to the rivers, were often called the gills. The newmen, they came up the boat on much, much later loads to be placed upon an auction block. Whole families bought and sold. To some, this has no significance. To some, it brings back pain. But for Afro-Americans everywhere, this is what is in your name. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you very, very much. Got a few housekeeping things to talk about. They're passing out some papers. If you have some questions for Dr. Umar after when we get to the question and answer session, I'd like for you to write those on some paper. You can find a pen or something to write with, and we'll get them before he starts asking questions. Additionally, Savior's Day. What does Allah and the great Mahdi and the great Messiah have to say about the war in the Middle East? That's February 25th in Detroit at the Huntington Place. Old Joe Louis. Okay. Thank you, brother. Cobo Hall? Yeah, Cobo Hall. Everybody's waiting to see Dr. Umar come up here now. All right. All right. I got, everybody's got a friend and family members. We got Pookies and Ray Rays in our family. I got a cousin named Punky. Let me tell y'all this. This would not be happening if it were not for the Punkin in my life. My cousin Punkin called me one day, man, I talked to Dr. Umar, we've been texting. I was like, man, whatever. Stop that mess. You just talking crazy. And he said, for real, I'm gonna get you his number. I said, okay, whatever. He texts me the number. I text the number. And lo and behold, Dr. Umar texts me back. And I'm like, oh, we got a center, we got a place, we're gonna get you here, brother. And let me say this to you. When we talk bad about some of our family members, you never know what they got in mind. You never know where the blessings will come from. So I'm gonna bring my cousin Punkin up to talk about a few things. Come on, Punkin. Where you at, cousin? All right.
Hey, I just want to thank everybody for coming out to support being black, first of all. Supporting Dr. Umar. And I'm not going to hold up this mic. I'm going to get Dr. Umar out of here. Thank y'all for coming out.
Thank you. All right. So everybody's here for the moment we all been waiting for. Dr. Umar is in the house. So let me say a few words about this great brother. Now, we all seen him on YouTube, we've seen him other places doing what he does. And sometimes he can be a little harsh. People get worried about the words, what he says, how he says it. But sometimes we need to listen to the message. Dr. Umar Rashad bin Abdullah Johnson is here to talk about Black America at the crossroads. Black America at the crossroads. I'm gonna do it like Dr. Umar, I'm gonna say it 3 times. Black America at the crossroads. Now he's been called King Kong consciousness and many other things, the old goon. He's born in Philadelphia, certified school psychologist. He's a doctor in clinical psychology. He's written a book called The Psychoacademic Holocaust, a special education ADHD wars against black boys. Let me say that again. Psychoacademic Holocaust. The special education and ADHD wars against black boys. We all know something like that. Listen, I want everybody in Flint, or give yourself a Flintstone welcome. Get to your feet. Stand up for the man, not the myth, not the legend, the man. He's doctor. He's an author. He's a leader in the community. He's founder, president of the Unity and Martin Garden Academy, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson.
Flint, Michigan, make some noise, black family. How y'all doing today? All right. It's an honor to be back in Flint for only my second time. I was with you all 8 years ago at the invitation of the Urban League for Martin Luther King Jr.'s Earth Day celebration. That was January the 15th of 2016. And a lot has transpired since then in both Flint and across the country. But before we get into that, I would be remiss if we didn't take a moment and pause and remember that we are here to celebrate our history, our culture, our experience. This is the 98th anniversary of what was started by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in February of 1926 as Negro History Week. Dr. Carter G. Woodson chose the second week in February because it included the birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, who we know is no friend of ours, but also the birthday of my ancestor, the Honorable Frederick Douglass. And so what started as Negro History Week in 1926 will become Black History Month in 1976, when President Gerald Ford from the White House decided to give the study of Black history an entire month instead of a week. I give you that history because there's some in our community who think the white man chose February because it was the shortest month. The white man did not choose February. It was a black man, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, a close friend of the Most Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who started Negro History Week while the Honorable Marcus Garvey was incarcerated on the false charges placed upon him by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. But brothers and sisters, I want to say this. We have to stop letting white people regulate our celebration of ourselves. We are the only people in this country who are always seeking permission and validation from one's oppressor to acknowledge yourself. I remember when I got an opportunity to hear one of Brother Malcolm's eldest children, Atala Shabazz, at Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania. And someone asked her, how do you feel about the fact your father's Earth Day is not a federal holiday? And the sister said, why do you need the US government, the very people who murdered my father, why do you need them to give you permission to celebrate Malcolm? If you want to celebrate El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, nobody's stopping you from doing that. Brothers and sisters, there's an outcry right now because certain states like Florida and Texas, in fact, we have about 20 states who have made it illegal to teach public school children about slavery. They have made it illegal to teach public school children about white racism. And black people are up in arms that white people are no longer allowing the teaching of slavery and racism. Why are you crying? Who is stopping you from teaching our children about racism? Who is stopping you about teaching our children about slavery? I remember some time ago, I was at a reparations conference in North Philadelphia at Temple University. And when I was asked how I felt about the black activists and scholars of Philadelphia finally forcing the school district to teach our children black history, they asked me my opinion and I disagreed with it. They said, Dr. Umar, you're disagreeing with Dr. Malefi Asante, and you're disagreeing with the late Dr. Calvin Robinson and Ed Robinson. Yes, I disagree. Why do you disagree? Do you not think black children should know who they are? Yes, they should know who they are. I'm not disagreeing because I don't want them to know who they are. I'm disagreeing because white women shouldn't be teaching them. I'm disagreeing because white men shouldn't be teaching them. I don't want no white woman giving my daughter Fannie Lou Hamer. I don't want no white woman giving my daughter Ida B. Wells. I don't want no white woman giving my son the Honorable Marcus Garvey. I don't want no white woman giving my son Huey P. Newton. If you allow your enemy to interpret your history for your children, you're giving them the right to dictate your destiny. Nobody lets their enemy teach their children who they are and where they come from. Flint, Michigan, I want you to understand something. The reason black people in America don't get the respect we're entitled to is because we're the only Africans in the world who have the financial capability of solving half our problems ourselves. We are begging and praying for things we can do ourselves. Why are you begging for reparations while you waste $2 trillion every year? Why are you begging for better public schools when you have the money to buy some of these shut down schools in Flint and give our children the education that they are entitled to? 3 days ago, Flint, Michigan public schools, 3 days ago, your school district declared a financial state of emergency. Now, I'm trying to understand how a school district, Flint, Michigan, that only has about 14 schools and a $69 million plus budget has an economic crisis. 14 schools and $69 million, that's $5 million a school. Not to mention all the other money that you're not including in on this, like the special ed money you get every time you put one of these black boys in special ed who don't need it. Brothers and sisters, Flint public schools don't have a financial crisis. They have an economic priority crisis. Give Dr. Umar the school budget in Flint, and I'll find all the money for the reading programs. I'll find all the money for the math programs. I'll find all the money for the after-school programs and for the theater programs and for the music program. You know why they can't find no money? They too busy hiring white people with your tax dollars. That's why they got an economic crisis. Have you noticed? Whenever they start talking about economic crisis in Flint, they never talk about laying off white people. How about you lay off some of these white people you paying $150,000 a year to do nothing but read paperwork? You got about 100 white people working for Flint City Schools who got a job that's already being duplicated by 10 other white people. You don't have an economic crisis. You got a priorities crisis. And then they said, since COVID, they're reporting that more black children in Flint are coming to school with what appears to be language acquisition disabilities and reading disabilities and comprehension disabilities as a result of the water crisis. Now, don't get me wrong. Lead does affect learning. Don't get me wrong. Some of our children may have acquired language acquisition disabilities and reading disabilities, but speaking as an expert school psychologist, a lot of our children don't have learning problems, but these white women, these white teachers are blaming the water so they don't have to teach. I want you to hear what I'm telling you. I want you to hear what I'm telling you. Every other black boy in the classroom isn't suffering from a lead-based learning disability. He's suffering from a lazy-ass white teacher. That's what he's suffering. I'm trying to understand. In a city that's 55% black, 100,000 people, a black mayor, and 5 out of 9 council people black with a Democratic governor, why in the hell are you in the condition you are in? And I'm gonna tell you why you're there. I'm gonna tell you why you're there, Flint. Because the white power structure of Flint, Michigan surrounds itself by the black bourgeoisie of Flint, Michigan. And the white power structure couldn't do what it's doing in Flint without the help of well-placed bourgeoisie Negroes. You can't step on Flint without dealing with the black bourgeoisie. And there's 5 families in the black bourgeoisie. You got your higher education coons. This your public school Negroes, school board Negroes, university Negroes. When people ask them why black boys can't learn, you know what they tell them? Because they listen to too much rap. The mothers are unmarried. The fathers are in jail. Their pants are sagging. They only want to play basketball. Those are not causes. Those are symptoms. You know why black boys ain't learning? Because them white teachers ain't teaching them. That's why they not learning. It ain't got nothing to do with poverty. Ain't got nothing to do with gangster rap. And ain't got nothing to do with basketball. It's the white woman in the classroom could care less as to whether he learns or not because her child is not impacted by the failure of yours. So that's your education Negro. And then you got your governmental elected official city job Negro who always telling you they working for you, but you never see no damn results. And when you don't see no results, they say, wait one more term. Elect me one more time. And when I get in the next term, I'm going to get the work done because I had to spend my first term figuring out what's going on. So I played Spook, who sat by the door my first term. And then you re-elect the coon the next term, and he still don't do nothing. He said, I need a little bit more time. And after 5 or 6 elections down the road, it's time for your ass to crawl into that pine box and go into the ground. Ain't no time left. So y'all can keep waiting on these Negroes if you want. Nothing gonna change until you make them change. You don't suffer what you suffer because you're black. The most honorable Marcus Garvey told us, you suffer what you suffer because you are disorganized. Flint, Michigan, guess what? As much hell as you catch. And you are the 2nd most impoverished black city in America for cities with more than 65,000 people. And the reason you're in that condition, because you've gotten comfortable being on the bottom. You've gotten comfortable being on the bottom, brothers and sisters. And until you're tired of being on the bottom, that's exactly where you will stay. The Honorable Frederick Douglass said, what? Frederick Douglass said, the slave that is whipped the easiest is the slave that will be whipped the most. When are you going to get organized? When are you going to stop hating each other more than you hate racism? It hurt my heart when I read in the newspaper that lawsuit by those 4 children in Flint who suffered the effects of the water crisis and the lead poisoning and all the diseases that came with it. The trial ended in a mistrial. They didn't win nothing at all. And they said, well, because it was a mistrial, it can be tried again. It ain't going to be tried again. The reason they're not holding themselves accountable is because you're not making them hold themselves accountable. This is on us. Why haven't we organized ourselves in Flint yet? Every night there should be a meeting for organization. One night you dealing with gentrification. And by the way, one of the reasons they took so long to even thinking about fixing those pipes in your city is because they wanted to run the property value down to the dirt and let the white people come in and buy up all your properties for $1 on it. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. If there would have been a water crisis in Ann Arbor or a water crisis in some of these white suburbs, they would have fixed the pipes last night. But because it's you and because they knew you would take it, that's why they left them like that. You better understand something, black people. After 400 years, we should know better. This country, this world, this planet is not run by laws. It's not run by prayer. And it's not run by protest. It's run by power. And only those with power will get what they want. You think the Chinese worried about who will be the next governor of Michigan? You think the East Indians worried about who will be the next mayor in Flint? You think the Arabs give a damn who you elect on city council? They build in power, and we supposed to be doing the same thing. But the big difference between the Negro and everybody else is when they have problems, they get organized and they fight back. When you have problems, you get depressed and you go to church. And speaking of church, the worst family of the black bourgeoisie is the black church. Now stay with me. I'm not against Christianity. I'm not against Islam. I'm not against my Seventh-day Adventists. I'm not against my Jehovah's Witness. I'm not attacking what you believe in. I'm attacking the institution that you allow to exploit what you believe in. I want to make sure you understand the difference. Jesus Christ is not the church. Christianity is not the church. The church are the people who run your Christianity for you because you think you need something other than God to get close to God. That's what I'm talking about. Now, when we look at the black church, all across black America, every Sunday, we give the black church $11 million a Sunday. Nationally. $11 million a Sunday. Help me understand. With $11 million a Sunday, almost no schools. $11 million a Sunday, almost no banks. $11 million a Sunday, almost no hospitals. $11 million a Sunday, almost no grocery stores selling real food. Help me understand, Pastor, how you claim to be doing the Lord's work, but you're comfortable with your people living in hell. That's the contradiction. Show me a black church in the state of Michigan leading the fight for better schools. Can't name one. Show me a black church in Michigan leading the fight against police brutality and genocide. You can't name one. Give me a black church in the state of Michigan fighting against gentrification and mass incarceration and economic apartheid. You can't name one. The black church is one of the biggest supporters of white supremacy. And one of the ways that it supports white supremacy is that it destroys, eliminates, and sucks out your revolutionary passion. See, before you walked in the church, you was ready to fight. Before you walked in the church, you was ready to organize. Before you walked in the church, you was ready to march on City Hall. You was ready to go march on Governor Gretchen. But guess what? You went in the church, he hit you with 2 remixes from the Psalms and another remix from the gospel. And then he brought that effeminate-ass choir out there, and they sung a couple of Kirk Franklin remixes on your ass. And all that revolutionary passion you had, it died. The purpose of church in the black community is to make people who have nothing think they have it all. The purpose of the black church is to make oppressed people think they don't have to do nothing about their oppression. God will solve their problems for them. Do you know slavery would have ended sooner had it not been for the black church? Go read Frederick Douglass. Go read Henry Highland Garnett. Go read Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. Go read Alexander Crummell. Go read Martin Delaney. Go read Sojourner Truth. They said they had to fight the church as much as they had to fight the white man. Because just because you get up in the pulpit with a robe on don't mean you're a servant of the Lord. Most black men who start churches to serve themselves, not you. Now, brothers and sisters, you have to understand something. Racism is reinventing itself. It no longer looks like what it is. Racism now wears 3 masks. One mask is called LGBTQism. Another mask is called feminism. Another mask is called multiculturalism. This is how they get us now. If they want to destroy a black man or black woman, they'll say you're treating gays or women or immigrants unfairly. This is how they get us now. This is how they fire you from your job now. This is how they exclude you from the various initiatives now. They make black people look like we are the perpetrators. You see what's happening in Chicago. You see what's happening in New York. Joe Biden has brought millions of South American anti-African migrants into the two largest black cities in America to do what? Replace us, to wash us out. When Joe Biden ran for office, he said he wanted to fast track 8 million migrants to full citizenship by the end of his first term. What Joe Biden care about some South American migrants? You know why he did it? Because he knew he wasn't going to do nothing for you. And he knew many of you would not return to the polls to elect him a second time. So he bringing the migrants in, fast feeding them to full citizenship. So this November, when black people don't show up, the migrants will vote for President Joe Biden. And guess what? Part of this is our fault. Because you same Negroes sitting in here are the same Negroes who've been running around the past 20, 30 years talking about you don't just care about black people, you care about everybody. You the Negroes been running around saying my God don't see no color. You the Negroes who've been running around saying I don't just fight for black people, I gotta fight for everybody, and that's why your ass is dead last in America now. You done multiculturalized yourself out of being relevant. I'm serious. Will you ever hear the Jews talk about anybody but Jews? Will you ever hear the Latinos talk about anybody but Latinos? Will you ever hear the Arabs talk about anybody but the Arabs? The East Indians don't talk about nobody but themselves, but every time you open your damn mouth, you gotta talk about another group's problems who never speak up for your problems. Because your religion made you think you got to love everybody without prioritizing your own. Any religion that tells you you got to fight for people who can't stand you is a religion of the devil. Quote me on that. You're supposed to be looking out for black people. Right. We the holiest of the holy. We God's first people. We the original man and woman. And if you can't fight for us, you ain't got time to fight for nobody else, brothers and sisters. Now let me say this to my parents out here. Stop getting your children evaluated for special education. Please stop. Now, I got some copies of my books here tonight. If anybody wants to get a copy, there's somewhere. Black Parent Advocate. If you're raising school-age children, you might want to get a copy because it has all the solutions you need to protect your son. They want to put them in special ed. I got the letter you want to give them to say no. They want you to put your son on medicine. I got the letter you need to say no. Your child been in special ed for 5 years, still can't read. I got the letter you need to give to school to tell them you want an approved private school at public school expense. I don't know if y'all know this. If your child has an IEP, which means they are in special ed, which means they have been classified with a disability, if you can prove that Flint schools has failed to properly educate your disabled child, you can make them pay for a private school. That is federal law. I help parents do it all the time. But you know what the problem with black parents is? You are never organized enough for me to help you. When I ask you for the psychological evaluations so I can review them, you don't have them. Some of y'all don't even know what your child's disability is. Let me get this right. Your child been in special ed since first grade, which is a damn shame in and of itself. He's been in special ed since the first grade. Now he's in the 7th grade, and you don't even know the disability? So you put your baby in special ed, and you don't even know why. Let me explain something to y'all. If a black child got a good teacher and a horrible parent, he got a 50% chance of making it. If he got a good parent and a horrible teacher, he got a 50% chance of making it. If he got a great parent and a great teacher, he will definitely make it. But you know what's wrong in Flint? You know what's wrong in Detroit? You know what's wrong in Lansing and Kalamazoo and Big Rapids and Grand Rapids and Eastern and Muskegon and Pontiac and Highland Park? A lot of our children don't have a good teacher, and a lot of them ain't got a good parent either. Stop having babies if you ain't gonna raise them right. All you doing, thank you, Baba, all you doing is raising criminals for the penal institution. That's right. If a black boy can't read by the time he finishes the 5th grade, there's a 75% chance he'll spend some of his adulthood in jail. But guess what? Don't say ooh and ah, because if I took a poll in this room right now and asked you, what did you buy your son for Christmas? If I took a poll in this room right now and asked you, what did you buy your daughter for Christmas? If I took a poll in this room right now, grandparents, and asked you, what did you buy your grandchildren for Christmas? You know what you bought? Video games. You know what you bought? Cell phones. You know what you bought? Big screen TVs and iPads. And guess what? Everything you bought them for Christmas takes them away from academic excellence. Everything you bought them for Christmas takes them away from academic practice. Everything you bought them for Christmas takes them away from mastering the academic skills. Can I ask you a question? If your son is in the 5th grade, reading on the 2nd grade level, and you bought him a video game for Christmas, if your daughter is in the 6th grade, comprehending what she reads on the 3rd grade level, and you bought her an iPad for Christmas, what are the chances that they ever gonna catch up? Do you know what you're doing? You're investing in your child's future incarceration. Jail for your son, poverty for your daughter. See, we could talk about the white man all day, but I want to talk about you. If I go into your house right now, how many of you got a bookshelf? How many of you got a dictionary? How many of you got a thesaurus? How many of you got a complete set of encyclopedia? Listen, 85% of the homes I go in, there's no reading material at all in the house. There's a TV in every room, a radio in every room, a computer in every room. Where in the hell do your children go to do some silent reading? And where do they go to do their homework, if they do it at all? And stop saying, Dr. Umar, they put my child in special ed. No, they didn't. You did. In order for me to special educate your child, you got to sign your name 4 times. You sign permission for Dr. Umar to test them, the school psychologist. Then you sign my psychological evaluation stating you agree with it. Then you sign the IEP, and then you sign the special ed service agreement. You signed your name 4 times. So don't tell me they put my child in special ed. You put him in special ed. And you know what's the saddest thing about Flint? Saddest thing about Philly, Baltimore, Oakland, and Houston? Most of our kids in special ed don't have learning problems. You know what they got, Flint, Michigan? They got lazy problems. They too damn lazy to practice. They too damn lazy to pay attention. They too damn lazy to do their homework, and your ass is lazy too. Lazy child, lazy home. I'm telling you what I know. They lazy. 85% of the black children I've tested over the past 25 years ain't have no damn learning problem. They had a lazy problem. But you know what some of y'all do? Because you too lazy to make your child strive for black excellence, you go into the school looking for an excuse to not make them try harder. And the white folks are waiting for you to come in there begging for special ed, begging for the school to prison pipeline, begging for future incarceration, begging for low test scores. I think he got a reading problem. Everybody think their damn child is dyslexic. How the hell he dyslexic and you ain't got no damn books in the house? Your ass is dyslexic. That's why. If I was in charge of education in Michigan, we wouldn't even diagnose the children. We diagnose their damn parents. You would get the label. We wouldn't give Raheem no Adderall. We're not giving Roxanne no Concerta. We're not giving Ray Ray no Ritalin. We're not giving little Shane no Cycler. Give the damn pills to their parents. Since you want your children on crack so much, why don't you start it off? And I'm gonna tell you something else. You better listen. Never get your child tested for ADHD. Never get your child tested for conduct disorder. Never get your child tested for oppositional defiant disorder. Why not, Dr. Umar? Because if you make these teachers, if you let these teachers force you to take your son or daughter to the mental health clinic, because remember, we don't diagnose ADHD in the school. That's the mental disorder. Your child was not diagnosed in the public school with ADHD. You had to take them somewhere else for that. Once you got them diagnosed outside of the school, you brought the report back to the school. Once you gave the school the outside diagnosis, they can now put them in special ed for it. The reason you don't want to get them tested for ADHD, the only reason they want you to get your child diagnosed is so they get medicated. Adderall, Concerta, Cycler, Ritalin, you better not do it. Because if you don't medicate your child, After you gave them the label, they will confiscate your children. It's called medical neglect. There's black parents all over America who no longer have their children at home because you didn't want to listen to Dr. Umar when I told you don't take them to the clinic. Well, they kept harassing me. Well, if they keep harassing me, get your lazy ass at the computer and write a letter and say I've been asked by Miss Slurbanowski to get Raekwon tested for ADHD. My son don't have ADHD, and I do not consent to the eval, and I would appreciate it if you tell your teacher to stop harassing me because she's not a psychiatrist. She cannot give professional mental health advice. And the next time she tries to bully me into an ADHD diagnosis, I'm going to report her and you, not only to the State Department of Education of Michigan, but to the United States Department of Education as well. All you got to do is write letters. But the problem with y'all too lazy to write letters. You want to make a phone call. You want to make a phone call. And you know what the problem with phone calls is? You can't prove what they said, and you can't prove what you said. Every time you have a meeting with a Flint public or charter school, you follow that meeting up with a letter. It only takes 5 seconds, or email. It only takes 5 sentences. Today we had a conversation about my daughter's behavior. You said X, I said Y, we agreed to Z. This is my understanding of the meeting we had this afternoon. If I am unclear as to what you said and what we agreed upon, I would appreciate it if you clarify for me at this time. You gotta get in the habit of writing. If you don't have a paper trail, you will not be able to save your children. Let me tell you what the white folks do in the school. You know what they do? They lie on you. They fabricate documentation. And when you try to report them or challenge them, you know what they do? They show up with 10 boxes of lies. And they win. You know why they win? Because you have no paperwork at all. You pulling everything from your memory. They got a whole box of lies. And because it looks like they were well documented, they win because you was too lazy to document anything. Remember, there could be no failing children if there was no failing parents. And my black fathers, I'm very disappointed in y'all because for some reason, every other Negro male in the black community wants to socialize his son to be a physical organism for a new white slave master called the NFL and the NBA. I'm sick and tired of black men. I'm sick and tired of black men trying to raise their sons to be athletes every damn day. Every time you get a male child, he got to be a football player. Every time you get a male child, he got to be a basketball player. Are you aware that your son has a greater chance of being struck by lightning than becoming a professional athlete? Statistically, he'll be struck by lightning before he becomes a multi-millionaire athlete. So why are you trying to make him the next one? Do you realize your son will likely be going professional in something other than sports? Stop trying to relive your failed academic dreams through your son. Your time is over. You didn't make it to the NBA. I'm sorry it didn't happen, but it's over. Stop trying to rule that boy's life to try to rescue your low self-esteem. Leave that boy alone to himself. Next point, black on black violence. The reason we got so many black people killing each other in the streets, number one, mental illness. We are a stressed out people. We are a depressed people. We are a hopeless people. Even with all the religion you got, your ass is psychologically defeated. I don't care how many Holy Ghosts you got. See, my problem with you Holy Ghost Negroes is for all the Holy Ghosts that you've been catching, we ain't got one hospital for it yet. All the Holy Ghosts that you've been catching, we ain't got one school for it yet. All the Holy Ghosts that you've been catching, no jobs have been created with your Holy Ghost. So I don't know if that's the white Jesus or the black Jesus. Because I don't know if you know, you got 2 Jesuses in Flint, Michigan. You got a Caucasian one and you got a black one. Jesus Christ and you got Jesus the Cracker. Now, I don't know which one you're praying to, but let me help you understand the difference. Jesus Christ was born in a cave in Ethiopia before they changed it in your Bible. Jesus Cracker was born in a manger in Bethlehem. Jesus Christ was hanging with a noose from a tree. Jesus Cracker was nailed to a cross. Jesus Christ was a blue, black, purple African. Jesus Cracker looked like Michael Bolton. Who you praying to? Because guess what? if you pray into a white God, you'll never get black solutions. And you know what's so sad? Y'all take our children into these so-called black churches with white images of Jesus on the wall, teaching them to worship white people at 3 years old, teaching them to worship white people at 4 years old. And do you know what Reverend Chicken Wings say when I ask them about it? You know what Deacon Watermelon say when I ask them about it? You know what Pastor Pork Chop say? He say, Dr. Umar, color don't matter. If color don't matter, you house Negro, why do you think white people went all around the world stealing and changing the image of every black Christ they could find? Color does matter. Color does matter. And if you raise a black child worshiping a white God, when he becomes a man, he'll naturally worship all white people. Now, I'm so disappointed in us as black people because a couple years ago, when Joe Biden first got elected, there was a massacre of Chinese women inside the parlors in Atlanta. And I don't have a problem saying that what happened to those Asian women was wrong. And I don't have a problem that the president decided to issue an anti-Asian hate executive order. But you know what I got a problem with? How is it we get one Chinese massacre, and after one Chinese massacre in one day, Chinese women get an anti-Asian hate bill overnight? Yeah. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris flew to Georgia to meet with the Asian community. Black women been being beat, raped, killed, kidnapped for 400 years, and no anti-black woman hate bill yet. That's the problem I have with this nonsense. And then he signs an anti-transgender hate bill. Okay, I don't agree with the lifestyle, but I agree nobody should be hurt because of their mental confusion. But I'm trying to understand how you sign an anti-transgender hate bill when the George Floyd police reform bill still sitting on Congress's desk. Help me understand. Because when our ancestors got off those ships and built this country for free, there was no Asians on that damn slave ship. There was no transgenders on that slave ship. There were no Ukrainians on that slave ship. There was no Israelis on that slave ship. There was no Afghanis on that slave ship. So how you got time to be sending billions of dollars of our reparations money to Afghanis, Ukrainians, LGBTQs, Chinese, Israel, and you ain't even took care of the black people who built this country? And then, in an act of complete disrespect, after he gave the Asians money and laws, after he gave the homosexuals money and laws, after he gave the immigrants money and laws, you know what Joe Biden did for you? He gave you a Juneteenth holiday. We didn't need no damn holiday. We were already celebrating Juneteenth, cracker. We didn't need you to come and baptize it. And guess what, Flint? Joe Biden didn't make Juneteenth a holiday to help us. He made Juneteenth a holiday to hurt us. You know why? Study every holiday the U.S. government chose to celebrate. They took the value and the sacredness out of the holiday. Once they made Dr. King's birthday a national holiday, they use it as a free day of cleaning up so city workers ain't got to do their job. Look at Black History Month. They started celebrating Black History Month 40 years ago, and now there's almost no programming on the TV or radio about Black History Month. Look at Kwanzaa. They started celebrating Kwanzaa. There's almost no Kwanzaa programming. He federalized Juneteenth to kill Juneteenth. And now, for the past 3 years, Juneteenth been federal. It's been hijacked by the Rainbow Gang. It's been hijacked by the immigrants. It's been hijacked by the radical black feminists and the radical white feminists. Juneteenth is supposed to celebrate our emancipation. How in the hell did it get remixed into the rainbow, the feminists, and the immigrant? That's your fault. Because you're too afraid to tell the world that for right now, while my people catching hell, the only conversation I'm having is about Black liberation. See, when I walk into a room, I make it clear. I'm not here to talk about Black and brown children. I'm here to talk about Black children. because brown people don't ever talk about my children. But every time you open your damn mouth, black and brown, black and red, black and yellow, black and white, and you notice there's no black in the rainbow, but you still won't prioritize yourselves. You are literally helping people get more attention than you when you laid the foundation for them. And my African immigrant brothers and sisters, I'm a Pan-Africanist. So I see all of us as one family. I don't play the label game or the national game because every flag you pledge your loyalty to was given to you by your oppressor. But I want my African immigrants to understand something. You are not smarter than American Africans. You don't work harder than American Africans. The reason you do better than us is because you are not a threat. If you mess up in this country, they can ship your ass back to Africa. They can ship you back to South America. They can ship you back to the Caribbean. So the reason you're given more opportunities than us is because you can be sent home. We can't. We are the only non-white people in the country who cannot be deported. And that's why they try to kill us off with COVID. That's why they try to kill us off with LGBTQ. That's why they try to kill us off with poor health care and homelessness. And speaking of homelessness, you guys have over 4,000 homeless blacks in Flint. We have one of the highest homelessness rates in the country. 4,000. And I'm trying to figure out, where did all that water crisis money go? Because I read somewhere that your city got about $3 billion in water crisis money above what they spent to fix the old pipes, which they still ain't fixed. And according to the Environmental Protection Agency, they claim that Flint, Michigan water has passed the water test for 6 years. I don't know who the hell tested that water. And then Obama came here in 2016. Y'all know damn well that wasn't water from your pipes. Yeah. That was some Dasani or some damn, what's the other water? Aquafina. It might have been some Vernon's ginger ale, that it wasn't no damn Flint River Punch. I can promise you that much. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Why haven't my brothers and sisters in Flint, Michigan organized and taken a human rights lawsuit out against not only the city and the state, but the U.S. government for genocide? Your water crisis meets the definition of genocide. The water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi also meets the definition of genocide. Let me tell you why your black leaders haven't taken a lawsuit out against the U.S. government. Because black people are very ambivalent about your American citizenship and your American identity. And when it comes time for you to embarrass this country before the world, you always choose not to. Our entire history is replete with examples as when it was time for black people to expose the government, we said, no, this is our country, we love it. I'm not telling you to hate it, but I need you to explain to me what the hell you love so much about America. You love the history, you love the slavery, you love the Willie Lynch, you love the police genocide. When I see you Negroes out here on July 4th celebrating with your slave master, what exactly are you celebrating? Do you know what you were on July 4th, 1776? Your ass was an enslaved African working for free. So how the hell are you going to turn around and spit in the face of our ancestors and celebrate the freedom of a slave master when you were still his slave? Listen, black men, I'm going to tell you now, I don't care if you don't like it. If you dating anything other than a black woman, you's a goddamn sellout. I'm telling you. I don't care if she's Chinese, Japanese, Latino, Arab, East Indian, you's a coon and a sellout. We got too many black women for black men to be running around marrying other people's daughters. And you know what's so sad about this bunny hopping crisis? You know what's so sad? The black men who date non-black women know those women don't like black people. You know they don't like black people, and you date them anyway. Joel Embiid of the 76ers just married a bunny. He's from Cameroon. Do you think she would have ever looked at his ass if he wasn't a multi-millionaire? Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, he mixed race African, but he's still black. He married a bunny. None of these women care about you. They are there for an economic payday. And the minute you are no longer popular, they drop your ass off and get another Negro sucker to bleed. I ain't got nothing against the white woman, but our obligation, black men, should be to our own community. And if you don't like the sisters in Flint, so be it. Go get you a Detroit queen. And if you don't like the Detroit queens, go get you a Lansing queen. And if the Lansing queen ain't what you're looking for, go get you one of them down south Kalamazoo queens. And if you don't like none of the sisters in Michigan, go get you a Cleveland, Ohio sister. And if the Cleveland sister too rough, come get you a Philly goddess. And if the Philly goddess too rough, go get you a South Jersey Camden queen. And if you don't want no sister from America, go to Jamaica, go to Brazil, go to Central America, go to London, go to Paris, go to Ghana, go to Nigeria. But there's more black women in the world than any other population. And therefore, there's no excuse for black men to be going outside the race. Brothers and sisters, getting back to our children. Parents, 7 years and younger, they don't get tested for anything except speech, blindness, deafness, brain injury, orthopedic impairment. You don't let 5, 6, and 7-year-olds get tested for reading disabilities, math disabilities, comprehension disability, ADHD, CD, ODD, emotional disturbance, intellectual disability. No, no, no. Why not, Dr. Umar? Why is kindergarten and first grade too young for me to request an evaluation for my son if I think he got reading problems? You want to know why it's too young? Because we can't prove a reading disability. We can't prove a math disability. We can't prove a comprehension disability. We can't prove an emotional disturbance. We can't prove an ADHD. We can prove that they have a deficiency in reading. We can prove they got a deficiency in math. We can prove they got a deficiency in comprehension, but we can't prove that they are disabled. There's no CAT scan to prove a learning disability. There's no X-ray to prove a learning disability. There's no ultrasound to prove a learning disability. There's no blood test to prove a learning disability. So how do we come to the conclusion that Raheem had a learning disability? Because the white person simply saw he was behind in skill. The white teacher wanted his black ass out the classroom. You was dumb enough to sign your name on a permission form, so he ended up in special ed. That's how he got there. Don't you know they get money every time we put your kids in special ed? Special ed is a business. Special ed is a hustle. Special ed is a racket of making money off black children you know you never taught. Come on, brothers and sisters, we got to wake up. Now, number 3, I want my mothers to hear me. Stop treating your child's teacher like she's your life coach. You black mothers are walking into these schools in Flint, telling all your business to Susie, Suzette, and Jenny. And guess what Susie, Suzette, and Jenny are doing? Father in jail? Let me make a note of that. Mom used to be on drugs? Let me make a note of that. Family homeless? Let me make a note of that. Living in your mama's basement with 6 kids? Let me make a note of that. Domestic violence recovery? Let me make a note of that. Opioid addict? Let me make a note of that. And guess what? When they approach you to put your child in special ed, or when they approach you to demand medication and you say no, guess what Suzette, Susie, and Daphne go do? They go to Principal Dr. Workenberger. And Dr. Workenberger is going to call Flint Child Services. Oh yeah, we got a Shaquita Jackson in here, Raekwon's mother. She smell like weed. She look like she high. Raekwon done wore the same dirty socks for 2 weeks straight. Teeth ain't never brushed. We think she's high. We think she's an addict, and we don't think she's being properly cared for. They're not going to tell the social worker that they're only doing this as punishment because you didn't go along with the scam. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to come to your house, look in the refrigerator, see that you only got a half pint of milk, and they're going to take all the damn kids out. And guess what they're going to give your kids to? The LGBT whites in the suburbs. Don't believe me? Go do your research. LGBT whites disproportionately in America end up with black children. Why do the LGBT whites got a monopoly on being foster parents to black children? You want to know why? Because they can't have kids. And everybody knows nobody wants the black kids. So if I'm a white person and I don't want to work, but I want to live a comfortable life, I'm going to go get 5 black kids from Flint. And I'm not going to get any black kids from Flint. I'm going to get the black kids with the most problems. I'm going to get the schizophrenic black kid. I'm going to get the post-traumatic stress disorder black kid. I'm going to get the one who was sexually violated and sexually trafficked. I'm going to get the bipolar black kid. I'm going to get the one who was born addicted to crack because I know. And I'm going to get me an autistic baby because I know I'm going to get the highest money from the state. And depending on how bad of a psychological issue them kids got, I could get almost $3,000 a month per child. So when you driving around Michigan and you see these white people with a whole army of crazy black kids, and you're like, why they got all these crazy black kids? You know why? 3,000, 5,000, 2,000, 1,500, middle class house, middle class car, middle class life, no job, and you thought slavery was over. I remember when I was growing up, if a child's mother was out tricking, if the father was in jail, we never told the social worker. We never called the police to come get them. We never told the school that there's some kids next door. I think they in there alone. Guess what grandma did? Guess what great-grandma did? They would go next door and say, Raekwon and Raylisha, get your homework, get your schoolwork, get as many clothes as you can. You coming to live with Dr. Umar and my wife. Right. And you're going to stay with me and my wife until your parents come back. And guess what? If they never come back, you'll be with us until you graduate from high school. And we're not going to tell nobody. Because once upon a time, the black community used to take care of itself. Once upon a time, we used to take care of ourselves. And with all this religion y'all keep on professing, we then became the selfishest people in this country. We more selfish than a white man his damn self. Oh no? How you got 4,000 homeless blacks in Flint? Because guess what? All the hair store shops, they still open. You still buying weed. You still buying perm. You still dyeing your hair brown and blue net and every other snow bunny color your ass can find. But we got homeless blacks. Black man, I see you got your Jordans on. I see you got your Timbs. I see you got your rims. I see you got that nice SUV outside. I see you take your woman out to eat at the best restaurants in Flint. But we got all these black boys without no after-school jobs, and now they robbing our grandmothers at the ATM. They robbing our moms at the store because black men refuse to be accountable for black boys. And I know some Negro going to say, Dr. Umar, I got 5 sons, and I take care of mine. Good job, black man. But guess what? When I talk about our children, I'm talking about all the children, not just the ones you fathered. What about the ones you didn't father? Because in African culture, the children belong to the community, not the parents. So if there's a homeless black child in Flint, we all guilty until that child got a place to sleep.
Come on now. Come on now.
And I know some of you Negroes are going to say, wait a minute, Dr. Umar. I know you Mr. Pan-African and all that, but I ain't from Africa. My ancestor was already here. I'm a pretendian. Well, guess what, pretendians? Pretend Indians, you fake-ass Cherokee, Choctaw, and everything else you want to be. Guess what? You might got a little bit of Cherokee blood, so do I. You might got a little Choctaw blood, so do I. But since when do you get one drop of somebody else and you cease being black? When did that shit stop? Because I know a lot of white people with a drop of black and they ass ain't stopped being Caucasian yet. But the minute your self-hating ass find out you got a little bit of this, 2 scoops of this, a tablespoon of this, now you running around with a damn tomahawk. And they won't even let your ass on the Indian reservation nowhere. Listen up, pretendians. Since you're not black, why the hell you look just like Nigerians then? You're not black? Let me take your ass to Ghana this summer. I found 50 people look just like you, and none of them got a tomahawk in their hand. You know what your problem is? You hate yourself. And you're willing to be anything that you think gets more respect than you. Did you know that the Native Americans are not even the first migration of people to this country? We was here before them. Yeah. And the modern Native American is a mixed race, a split between the African and the Asian. So you don't want to be all black. You just rather be part black. Shut your ass up. I'm tired of this I ain't from Africa crap. Guess what? There's 6 stages of modern man. And all 6 stages of modern man can be found in Africa. It's the only continent where we can find all 6 stages. You ain't got 6 in North America. You ain't got 6 in South America. Some of y'all think y'all from Asia. We ain't got 6 stages in Asia. The only continent with 6 stages of modern man is Africa. If we never left the continent, we would have never evolved into anybody else. Those are the facts. But don't use that as an excuse to try to be colorblind, because some of y'all do that shit and say, well, since everybody come from us, ain't we all one? Here you go again with that low self-esteem shit. White people don't like you. Brown people don't like you. Red people don't like you. Yellow people don't like you. So keep on playing the multicultural game if you want until they exterminate all of us. Leave the COVID shot alone. Do not take the COVID shot. The COVID shot is worse than the damn COVID virus. Most of us dying from the vaccination. You know how many people I know lost their parents and grandparents over COVID? I know people got paralyzed over the COVID shot. I know people had heart attacks over the COVID shot. People had kidney failure over the COVID shot. Y'all know Colin Powell took the COVID shot. It killed him. Cicely Tyson took the COVID shot. It killed her. Renoko Rashidi, one of our Grandmaster Garveyite scholar elders, took the COVID shot. He died on tour in Egypt. Hank Aaron, the black baseball legend, took the COVID shot. He died. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, middleweight boxing champion, he took the COVID shot. He died. And my dear elders, stop taking the flu shot. Stop running to Walgreens and Walmart or wherever you go, Dr. Death office. Stop taking the flu shot. The older you get, the more toxic the shot becomes to your immune system. Eat better, fill up on your vitamin C, your black seed oil, get your cayenne pepper, take care of yourself and your food will be your wealth. Stop putting white man chemicals in your body. And I don't know if y'all been paying attention. Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland in America. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
Bill Gates, you know why he's buying up all the farmland? Because you know black folks is on his health kick, right? We're trying to eat healthy, and we should. Yeah. So Bill Gates said, I'm going to buy up all the fruits and veggies, and I'm going to put the damn disease in the fruits and veggies, so when they eat the fruits and veggies, they get sick. And if you don't believe me, there's already countries that have already outlawed Bill Gates' produce. Right. They will not import any fruits and vegetables from Bill Gates because they know it's deaf veggies and deaf fruits. We got to start growing our own food. We got black farmers in Michigan because I read about it. Y'all need to get in touch with the black farmers, and those of y'all in the city need to start some gardens. And with all this blighted area in Flint, just like we got back home in Philly, why we ain't got more community gardens? You got entire blocks with no houses. There should be food growing. What are we waiting for? Waiting for Joe Biden to save you? You waiting for your mayor to save you? You waiting for the governor of Snow Bunny to save you? Nobody's coming to save black people. Black people got to save themselves. I'm going to begin to wrap up because I want to take some questions. And when I'm done, if anybody need to talk to me, I'll be here for a while. You want to take a photo, we can do that. If you want me to sign a book, we can do that. By the way, where are my books? Because I don't see them anywhere. My book boxes, where are they? They put away, they should be out here. Can we get those book boxes out here? They should not be put away. They should be out here for the people.
You're right.
Yes, sir. Now, black women, I need y'all to get organized. Black women have the fastest growing suicide rate in America. Black women are having nervous breakdowns. Black women are becoming alcoholic more than ever before. Black women are becoming opioid addicts. And my dear brothers, a lot of our black women are going to lesbianism because they're tired of getting beat up by us. I'm giving you the facts. Black women, I want you to hear me when I tell you this. You are the only woman in America who is never allowed to be vulnerable and feminine. The black woman has been masculinized in the public eye, and many of you black women have masculinized yourself. The white feminist movement has convinced many of our college graduated black women that in order to be equal to a man, you have to imitate the man. Sisters, that is not African culture. You are a woman. You are different from me, but you are equal to me. Do not think you got to be a man to be equal to a man. Because our daughters now are being raised like boys instead of ladies. We got to go back to traditional African values. But more than that, y'all need a sister circle. Flint, Michigan, y'all should have a sister circle. There's only 100,000 people in this city. Right here at the Flint Development Center, once a week, I don't care if it's once a month, any black woman in the city should come here for Ladies' Night. You hear a couple presentations from sisters, and then we put a big circle. All the sisters get in the circle. Everybody swears an oath of silence and confidentiality. And if there's a sister who got something going on in her life, she needs help with her kids, she's suffering from domestic abuse, she about to end up on the street, whatever the case may be, she throws it out there to her sisters. And the sisterhood will help her out with the situation we got. Black women got to stick together. Y'all need each other. Y'all need each other. And black men, we need to do the same thing. We got to stop competing, and we got to lift up our brothers who doing worse than us. Even if we're not doing all that well, we can still help another person. My problem with black people is we think we got to have our own lives figured out in order to help somebody else. That's not true. Sometimes you can do a better job of helping yourself by helping another person. And I'm going to go a step further than that. You know what I found in common amongst all the depressed clients that I've had over the years? One of the biggest reasons black people are so depressed is because you're overly focused on yourself and not enough on the community. Depression is a symptom of selfishness. What do you do for the people? What do you do for the children? What do you do for the elders? And black men, you know we are our #1 cause of death, right? Think about that. Black men are the leading cause of death for black men. That don't make no damn sense. And I'm trying to understand how we can be so tough with each other, ready to kill each other, shoot each other, stab each other. We went to smoke with each other. But the white man that miseducating our kids for 100 years, you ain't had nothing for him. Police been killing and stopping us and frisking us and mistreating our women. We ain't got no smoke. I'm trying to understand how George Zimmerman ain't never been pressed since the day Trayvon was murdered. Listen, the best thing we can do with the upcoming presidential election in November, black people need to divest from the Democratic Party plantation. We need to divest from the Republican Party plantation. It's not about who's better or who's worse. Neither one of them are your friend. Yeah, Joe Biden gave all your money away to everybody else, but Donald Trump signed more death warrants than any president in American history since slavery, and many of them was black men he killed. I know he let Lil Wayne out of jail. I know he let Kwame Kilpatrick out of jail, but guess what? That was only an escape so you wouldn't look at all the black men who he had executed. Yes! So I'm not voting for Trump or Biden until we get together and we come up with a black vote. You have no business being involved in the white man's tug of war. Why are you tugging for the Democrats? Why are you tugging for the Republicans? You ain't a red white man or a blue white man. You're a black African. We should be fighting for ourselves. Organized, Flint. And the next time somebody want to run for mayor, they got to come here and talk to you first. Right. You want to be city council, you got to come here and talk to me first. You want to be the next governor, you got to come to Flint and talk to us first. You want to be president of the United States, you got to come to the black community and answer some questions. The reason why nobody takes the black vote seriously is because the Democrats know you're going to vote for them no matter what they do. And the Republicans know you ain't going to vote for them no matter what they do. So if I know I get your vote, why do I care about your agenda? And if I know I don't get your vote, why do I care about your agenda? Brothers and sisters, we're going to keep on being taken for granted until the end of time, until we cut the slave chain to the Democratic Party plantation house and the Republican Party plantation house and stand on a black first political foundation. We don't need a party. We just need a union. Black folks organized in solidarity together, promising all to vote in the same direction. We need a game changer, Flint. We need a game changer. And when are we going to have a meeting in Flint to talk about what's the first independent Black institution we should be building? Are we going to start that community garden? Are we going to start a convenience store or a dollar store to support Black people? Are we going to try to open up a clinic? Are we going to try to create some kind of a manufacturing sector? We got to do for ourselves, y'all. God put us on this earth to do. African people have a responsibility of renewing the planet. And you cannot do that letting white people dictate your destiny. You got to start dictating it yourself. But in order to organize, we have to be courageous enough and committed enough to call out the house Negroes when we see them. Listen, I didn't say just run around pointing at people without no evidence, because that's slander. That's not exposing sellouts. You got some Black bourgeoisies we can use. And we got some ghetto Negroes we can never trust. So we got to find out who we can work with and who we can't. But I'll tell you this, the biggest mistake you can make is thinking every Black person in Flint cares about the future of Black people in Flint. You hear what I'm telling you? Not only that, here's the other thing, another big organizational mistake we make, Flint, Michigan, I want you to hear me. Not everybody in this room is willing to go to jail for Black freedom. Not everybody in this room is willing to lose their job for Black freedom. Not everyone in this room is willing to lose their relationship with white people for freedom. Not everybody in this room is willing to give their life for Black freedom. And guess what? That's okay. That's not a problem. It only becomes a problem when you misrepresent your level of commitment to the struggle. See, if you tell me, Dr. Umar, I got a good job downtown, I'm not trying to lose it. I just got married, I got a baby, brother, I'm for the people, but I want to be honest with you. I'm not losing my job for my community. Thank you for being honest. This is the job I got for you. And because I know you can sell out, I will put you nowhere near the critical info. Do y'all see how this works? Do y'all see how this works? See, everybody can chip in. We just got to know what you're willing to lose. If you ain't willing to lose nothing, we keep you on the outside, and you can just bring Black information. For example, your mayor, he ain't trying to lose. So guess what, Mr. Mayor? I know you can't be at the meetings like that because the white folks will get you. But what I need you to do is bring us the information. What are they planning in Lansing against us? What are they planning downtown against us? Mr. Mayor, just bring me the info. My 5 Negro council people, bring me the info. My judges, bring me the info. My well-placed Black bourgeoisie, bring me the info. We're not gonna call you sellout because we know you are higher up on the chain. And we can't condemn you because most Negroes in this audience wouldn't be willing to give up a job that good either. So just tell us what you're willing to do and we'll treat you as your equal. Those who are willing to die, you in the inner circle. Those who are willing to lose their job, you on the outer circle. Y'all see how this goes? What did Huey P. Newton say? Huey P. Newton said information is disseminated on a need-to-know basis. Information is disseminated on a need-to-know. Everybody in here don't need to know everything. Because some of you niggas are stone cold coons. You don't need to know everything. 5 of y'all ain't nothing but snitches anyway. The FBI sent you here to see what I had to say. I'm not no damn fool. I heard about Flint, Michigan. Y'all got some of the greatest house Negroes in the state. I know how it goes. The Buick factory and the GM factory, they gone and you still cooning. Let me say this.
Come on now.
Sex trafficking is a big problem.
Yeah.
I hope you know where your daughter's at right now. Your 12 to 17-year-old girls, you better know where they're at every day. You better know where they're at every time. If you haven't met their boyfriend, you're not on their job. If you haven't met their boyfriend parents, you're not on your job. How you know your daughter's boyfriend's father ain't a sex trafficker? How do you know your daughter's boyfriend mama ain't a child molester? You ain't meet the parents? What about the girls your daughter hang with? She got 5 close girlfriends. Have you been to the house? Have you met the siblings? Have you met the parents? Do you know the average age of a male sex trafficker is 27 and the average age of a female sex trafficker is 26? They not old. When most of you think of child sex trafficking, you think of old white men, old black men. No, these are the young men on the corner who your daughters think are sexy and swagalicious and attractive. They running game on your daughter long enough to pop that Xanny, pop that opioid pill, pop that Percocet, and the next thing you know, she's waking up in the back of a trailer somewhere headed to Mexico. You better know where your daughters are. And guess who's the number one commodity on the child sex trafficking market? Black teenage girls. Black teenage girls. And guess what the sex traffickers said when they were interviewed? They said, why do y'all go for the black girls more than the red, the white, the yellow, and the brown? And you know what them crackers said? Because if we get caught with a black girl, we're likely to get less time. If you don't believe me, go do your research. It's on the internet. The interviews are on the internet. If we get caught with the black girls, we won't do that much time. You know why, black women? Because y'all like socializing your daughters for sex. 5 years old with long eyelashes. 9 years old with lipstick. 12 years old in a miniskirt. 14 years old in high heels. What the hell are you doing? Don't you know black women are the most victimized sexually? And your perpetrators are the least likely to be convicted when they violate you. And here you are with a little girl selling sex in 4th and 5th grade. Not with her body, but with the way you're dressing her up. Come on, y'all. Make the man pay attention to this, not those down there. You got to put the sacredness back in your vagina, black woman. The black vagina is sacred. Return it to its proper place. Return it to its proper place. 2 announcements before I close. And can we get the books out, please? Where are they?
Books in.
Okay, do me a favor, Queen Mother. They should be on the table by now. 3 boxes should be open and on the table in case somebody wants to buy one, because I'm about to wrap up soon. A separate room? Okay, I would have preferred that they were right back there on that table. I don't know why we needed a separate room. Security purposes, okay. So, 2 announcements. Number 1, y'all know for the past 10 years, we were raising money for a school. Frederick Douglass Marcus College. Originally, we wanted to buy the HBCU St. Paul's College in Southern Virginia. The Chinese bought it. So after the Chinese bought the HBCU, which is an embarrassment upon all of us, we then started looking for a regular day school. I thought I was going to end up in Detroit because Detroit had a bunch of schools we had the money to pay. But you know what the problem was? The Detroit public schools would not show me any schools in good condition. They only showed me the worst of the worst. They showed me the schools with no roof, schools with no back, schools with the water up to my chest. So then I went to the Catholic schools, and I found 5 Catholic schools in Detroit that we could afford. So I contacted the Archdiocese after they let me walk through the school. I said, I want this school right here. And you know what the realtor said? They want to see your curriculum. I said, what you need to see my curriculum for? I'm not a charter school. I'm about to pay you straight up cash for this building. And we done with each other. They found out who I was, so they would not sell to me. And guess what? Every one of those 5 schools are still sitting in Detroit unsold. Okay? I'm bringing this up to you, Flint, because y'all got some closed down schools. If I couldn't get FDMG Detroit, maybe I can get FDMG Flint. Yes. Y'all need to talk to your mayor. Y'all need to talk to your city council. Y'all need to talk to your state rep. Y'all need to talk to your state senator, because remember, it's the state that run education. The feds don't run education. The feds only run the money that they give into your schools, like special ed, JROTC. Education is a state right. It is a federal interest, and it is a local function. So you need to talk to your state reps and your state senators and your mayor, because he has influence. He's a black man. Can we get one of these schools? We don't need no money, because I'm a Garveyite, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I do not take nothing from white folks. Not even a bullshit, you understand? All we want is the school building. If y'all can get me a school, we can rehab that school, and we can open up Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Flint, Michigan campus, brothers. In lieu of that, we finished all the renovations on the school in Delaware. For those of you who have donated to the school, we're going to be having an indoor paint day. It's only open to donors. If you never donated, you're never coming in there. So you better get to your Cash App and your PayPal or send me a check or money order, because nobody is coming in that building who ain't give us a damn penny in 10 years to save black boys. Shame on your ass. But anyway, for those of you who have donated, if you're interested in coming down, we're going to have a paint week in 2 days. Saturday and Sunday, I'm looking for 30 volunteers. You can sign up on Sunday by texting me. You must have donated. You must tell me how much you donated approximately, and you must send me your Cash App or your PayPal handle or the address from which you mailed your donation, money order, or check, so I can verify your donation. Every donation we got for 10 years is recorded. We know everybody who donated, and we know how much you donated, so you can't lie. But we would love to invite you to Wilmington, Delaware. We're 20 minutes from the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania International Airport, and we're going to paint the school on Saturday, and we're going to paint the school on Sunday. We're going to provide your lunch, your breakfast, and then we're going to go to dinner at a restaurant of your choosing at the school's expense. We're going to make it fun. It's a paint weekend, so if anybody want to come help us paint, please get in contact with me after Sunday. Also after Sunday, we're going to Africa this summer, my 7th annual group trip. We're going to Ghana, we're going to Gambia, and we're going to Senegal. If you've never been to Africa, you might want to come with Dr. Umar. 14 days, 14 nights, 4 days in Senegal, 4 days in Gambia. The rest of the days are in Ghana. We're going to the Gorée Island slave dungeon. We're going to Jufre Island, where Alex Haley's ancestors come from. We're going to the new Pan-African Museum in Senegal. We're going to the Cape Coast Castle Slave Dungeon in Ghana, the Elmina Slave Dungeon in Ghana, the Prempeh Museum, the Kente Cloth Museum, the Wood Carving Museum, the Bead Museum. You're going to get you an African name from a traditional African chief, not the kind you get at the library on Black History Month, but a real African name, African food. If you want to get some African clothes, all the tellers will be there. All my dashikis come from the continent, and we want to have some fun. So if you want to go on an Africa trip, you can sign up beginning Sunday. It's going to be about $5,000 per person. Everything is included except you're spending money and 1 meal per day. There's double occupancy. If you want your own room for the whole 2 weeks, it's going to be a little bit more. No coons could go on my trip, no bunny hoppers could go on my trip, and no haters could go on my trip. I hope you got your passport. If you ain't got your passport, you better hurry up and get it. Okay, black man, if you owe child support, you will not be able to get a passport until you clear out all your child support. So get that child support bill down, marry your baby mom so she'll take you off of it. Let me say this about black love, and I'm gonna end it. But before I say this about black love, I want to give you my number in case you need to reach Dr. Umar personally. Take your cell phone out of your ink pen. I'm gonna give you my number 3 times. First time, 215-989-9858. Second time, 215-989-9858. Third time, 215-989-9858. If you need a consultation with your child, you can text me. I do charge $75 for the telephone consult, $100 if you want to look at my handsome face while we talk. The choice is yours. But don't call me for a consult if you ain't got your paperwork. The first thing I'm going to ask you for are the psychological evaluations. In the United States of America, a child must be evaluated every 3 years. If your child has an IEP, they must be reevaluated every 3 years. If your child is intellectually disabled, which means they have an IQ score beneath 70, along with an adaptive behavior impairment in a major life domain, they have to be reevaluated every 2 years. So if your child was put in special ed in the 3rd grade and they now in the 11th grade, there's a 3rd grade eval, there's a 6th grade eval, there's a 9th grade eval, and they're going to get a 12th grade exit eval. If your child went in special ed in the 1st grade, there's a 4th grade eval, a 7th grade eval, a 10th grade eval. Make sure you keep up with evaluation dates. Make sure you keep up with IEP dates. But most of all, I need to see the evaluation. You know why? Because I'm going to look at your child's evaluation and determine if this was a bull crap classification, diagnosis, or not. Now, there's one parent consult I do for free. You don't have to pay me at all. You know what that one is? Intellectual disability, formerly known as mental retardation. If any of you have a child who is evaluated and determined by these white folks to be retarded or intellectually disabled, Barack Obama changed the terminology in 2009 from mental retardation to intellectual disability. If you got a son or daughter and you've been told that they are retarded, you better get Dr. Umar that evaluation ASAP. Stop believing what these white people tell you. Black children in America are 4 times as likely to be called retarded than non-black children. And some of y'all take this label and you run with it. And you know one of the reasons why y'all run with that false intellectual disability label is because you get the most Social Security money for it. Some of y'all will keep y'all children retarded, knowing they're not retarded, just so you can get that money from the state. It's a damn shame. I've had children sit in front of me and I'm giving them an IQ test and they are deliberately getting answers wrong and I can tell. You know why? Because mommy and daddy whispered in their ear, do poorly on the test, because if you don't, we won't get the money, and if we don't get enough money, we might all end up homeless. So we're forcing our kids to be retarded so we can get that money from the state. I'm telling you what I know. We can talk about racism, but what about trifling black people? I want to close with a quote, but first I want to give you a story of a black man by the name of Booker T. Washington, who was born a slave in West Virginia. Booker T. Washington walked by foot from West Virginia to Hampton Institute. A white man founded and was the president of Hampton. Booker T. couldn't afford to go to Hampton, so he asked for the opportunity to work himself through school. He was given the opportunity to clean. And he cleaned so well that the good white folks in Hampton put him on a work-study program that allowed him to earn his education. When he graduated, the black community of Tuskegee, Alabama called Hampton looking for a black man who could come down and teach the black folks in Tuskegee how to make a living during the post-Reconstruction. Booker T. Washington took the job. He goes to Tuskegee. When he gets there, there's no school. So he uses an old barn, an old church, an old storefront. When the first class of students came to Tuskegee, they said, Booker T, where's the lecture hall? Where's the dorm? Where's the restroom? Where's the cafeteria? And Booker T. Washington, the man who influenced the Honorable Marcus Garvey, said you're standing on it. And Booker T. Washington made the children of Tuskegee Institute roll up their sleeves. They dug up the land, made their own bricks, built their own buildings, made their own clothes, grew their own food. They became so popular for making bricks that the white construction companies would come and buy bricks from the Tuskegee students instead of from the white construction companies. And then Booker T said, I need a science teacher. He heard of a black man by the name of Dr. George Washington Carver, castrated as a child by the white folks who took him in because they was afraid he would have sex with their daughter. So George Washington Carver never had any children. At the time, Booker T was inviting George Washington to Tuskegee. The white pharmaceutical companies were trying to offer him jobs. The Ford Foundation wanted George Washington Carver. The pharmaceutical industry wanted George Washington Carver. He turned them all down and went down to Tuskegee. And when he got there, that black man, George Washington Carver, born a slave, looked at that black man, Booker T. Washington, born a slave. And he said, Booker T, where's my faculty office? Where's my botany clinic? Where's my farm? Where's my office? And he said, George, all I got is what you see. And so that enslaved African, Dr. George Washington Carver, the greatest scientist in America at the time, goes to the trash dump of the students of Tuskegee, and out of the garbage, he takes aluminum, copper, tin, metal, and he gives you more than 300 products from the peanut. He gives you more than 500 products from the soybean. He gives you more than 400 products from the sweet potato. Why do I give you this story of Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver? You know why I give it to you? Because I'm trying to understand how we come from ancestors who had nothing and did everything. You have everything, and we've done almost nothing. Brothers and sisters, I want to close with a quote from my ancestor, the Honorable Frederick Douglass, who left this earth yesterday, 129 years ago, February 20th, 1895. And of course, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz Malcolm X, who left this earth today, about 60 years ago, or 50-something years ago. Brothers and sisters, my family came to America in 1701. A black man named Bailey, stolen from Nigeria. He was brought to Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. He married a black woman named Selah, for whom my 12-year-old daughter is named. In 1745, Grandmom Selah had Grandmom Jenny. In 1776, Grandmom Jenny had Grandma Betsy. Grandma Betsy was born a slave, but she married a free black man, my grandpa Isaac, who was a sawyer. They had 12 children. One daughter was named Harriet, another daughter was named Young Betsy, my 5 times great-grandmother. These 2 sisters were raped by the slave master who owned our family. So in February of 1818, the greatest black leader in American history was born. His name was Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. At the age of 20, cousin Fred ran away from Baltimore, through Delaware, through Philly, through New York, and he changed his last name to hide his identity on the fugitive slave trail. So in 1838, Fred Bailey became Fred Douglass. In 1819, Frederick's half-brother and first cousin was born, July 1st, 1819, my 4 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey. Frederick and Stephen were brothers because the slave master was their dad, but they were also cousins because the slave master raped both mothers. My grandpop George married my grandmom Caroline. My grandpop Stephen married my grandmom Caroline. She didn't learn how to read until 1909, the year the NAACP was founded. On November the 14th, 1841, they gave birth to my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey. He would become the first black public school teacher in Denton, Maryland, hometown of Harriet Tubman's parents. My grandpop George married my grandmom Annie. When the Civil War starts, my grandfather Steve and my grandfather George, father and son, they fight in the United States Colored Troops of Maryland, 19th Regiment and 9th Regiment. Do you know what that means? That means my grandfather George was there when Robert E. Lee surrendered at the Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. My ancestors was a part of that fight. Guess where else my grandfather was? He was in Galveston, Texas on June 19th when General Gordon Granger read Special Order Number 3, emancipating all Africans held in bondage in Texas, which gave us the Juneteenth holiday. My grandfather was there. Why do I say that? Because these white women in Flint are teaching our black children that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Abraham Lincoln didn't free the slaves. The slaves freed Abraham Lincoln, brothers and sisters. So then my cousins, Lewis and Charles, the sons of Frederick Douglass, they go to Boston, Massachusetts 54th Colored Regiment. If you've ever seen the movie Glory, Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman has been cooning lately, but Denzel and Morgan, that's the story of the sons of Frederick Douglass, Lewis and Charles, my cousins. After the Civil War, my grandpa George and grandma Annie had grandma Caroline. She moved to Philadelphia. She has grandma Vivian. Grandma Vivian marries a Spanish-speaking Cuban African from Havana, Cuba. My great-grandfather Cicero, who I met on his deathbed. And then Grandpa Cicero, Grandma Vivian had my grandma Ida, who passed away 6 years ago. She married my grandfather James Johnson, who passed away before she did. They had my father Jamal. He met my mother Barbara in the streets of North Philadelphia, the ghetto of North Philadelphia, and on August the 21st, the anniversary of the Nat Turner War, August the 21st, the anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, August the 21st, the anniversary of the George Jackson War, August the 21st, the original birthday of Jesus the Christ, August the 21st, the day Emmett Till showed up in Monday, Mississippi, August the 21st, the day of the Fugitive Slave Convention, August the 21st, the day Fannie Lou Hamer showed up in Atlantic City to testify before the Democratic National Convention. Martin Luther King Jr. is not the reason you got the vote. Fannie Lou Hamer, a black woman, is the reason you got the right to vote. I was born 11 driving minutes from Independence Mall, where those white, racist, hypocritical slave masters signed the Declaration of Independence, where Thomas Jefferson read it at. I was born 11 driving minutes from where they debated, signed, and approved the U.S. Constitution. You know why I was born 11 driving minutes from the birth of white supremacy? You know why I was born on August the 21st, the date of the Haitian War and the Nat Turner War? To fight for the liberation of African people with every breath in my soul. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom but deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want the rain, but they're scared of the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean, but you're scared of the awful roar of the waves. Frederick Douglass said, a man may not get all you pay for, but you will pay for everything that you get. And if we as a people are ever to become free of the injustices inflicted upon us, we must pay for their removal. We may have to pay with blood. We may have to pay with blows. We may have to pay with our life. But power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Frederick Douglass said, for 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom, but the good Lord gave me no freedom until I got up off my knees and start praying with my feet. He said, you want respect from white people? Why do you look for pity? The man who pities you would never respect you, and the man who respects you has no need for pity. Frederick Douglass said, it's better to raise strong children than to repair broken men. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who gave us the largest black organization in modern history. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the only black man that built a mass movement without the need for religion. The honorable Marcus Garvey, the only black man to give us an international economic trade and distribution system. Marcus Garvey said, without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won, even before you have started. Marcus Garvey said the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. He said if the black man and woman are not careful, you will drink in all the poison of Western civilization and you will die from the effects of it. Marcus Garvey was once asked, are you an African or are you a Jamaican? Are you an African or are you a Jamaican? And that bold, black, nappy-head black man stood up and said, you asked me, am I African or am I Jamaican? I tell you, I would never, ever give up a continent for an island. I am an African, yesterday, today, and all times. Flint, Michigan, I love you, black family. I'm going to take a few photos. Here's the book if you want a copy. I'll go over to the other room after we do the Q&A. If you want to do a photo, you can come over there. Want to get a book signed, you can come over there. It's 500 pages, everything you need to save your child. Or you can pay me $75 every time you got a problem. I think the book is cheap. Who has a question? Raise your hand. I'll take about 5 of them. My brother in the back, you're number 1. Is there another question? My brother, you're number 2. My brother, you're number 3. Queen Mother in the red shirt, you're number 4. Do we have another sister? Do we have another sister for balance? If there's no other sister question, I'll go to Queen in the blue with the head wrap, you're number 5. Number 1, go right ahead. I will repeat the question.
I just wanted to know your stance on side or both or however you want to say supporting Brother Dr. Cornel West.
Brother Dr. Cornel West, I love my brother. I think he got a good heart, but he's married to Sand Bunny.
Yeah.
And so, you know, any black man as a bunny hopper, I have a difficult time supporting. But I love him as a person. But as long as he got that non-African spouse, I can't take him seriously. Question number 2. Where my number 2 at? What's your number, Bob? What's yours? Black people never remember their number. This is a global phenomenon. I've done Q&A in Africa, they don't remember the number. Q&A in London, they don't remember the number. Q&A in Jamaica, they don't remember the number. I don't know what it is about black folks. Go ahead, Gary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I notice everything that you have talked about tonight has something to do with a mental condition of the human mind.
Absolutely.
Now, everyone in this room, my name is Brother Brooklyn. I'm going to tell you, I wrote this book, Lessons from the School of Hard Knocks, about my journey from Brooklyn, New York to retiring as a robotic engineer. Yes, but I also got 20 years of prison ministry.
Yes, sir.
Seeing the same human mind. Yes, sir. Seeing the same human black mind make the same human black mistakes that gets us incarcerated. And it's very simple, sir. If you go to 8th graders right now and ask them, have you ever seen or taught something about your brain, and they tell you no, that's what the problem is to me. Because every problem we had tonight starts with the story we tell ourselves, but we don't know where that story comes from. So my question to you, how, and I'm asking, who do I need to talk to help me multiply this information?
Yes, sir.
And that's my question for anyone in here. How can we multiply what we don't know? Have consciousness of our own little brain. And to me, that's how we start getting mentally manipulated.
I agree with most of that, Bob.
Okay, yes, sir. Now
I want us to make sure we don't confuse wisdom with knowledge. Sometimes we load up so much on the knowledge but we ain't got no damn common sense. In other words, we could go to any prison in Flint. A lot of them brothers are knowledgeable, but they didn't have the wisdom when they was on the streets.
Yes, sir.
So we got to marry the wisdom of the elders to the knowledge that so many of these young folks are now getting due to the preponderance of available information. Marry them together. But more than the wisdom and more than the knowledge, or along with the wisdom and the knowledge, we need organization. Without organization, nothing changes. As Pan-Africanist Kwame Ture Stokely Carmichael said, leaders don't make history. The masses make history. Leaders get the credit. So we should be meeting here at the Flint Development Center once a week to talk about one thing, not ideology, not religion, not the sellouts, but what are we going to do for ourselves? Purpose. I do not go to meetings with black people unless we're coming together to talk about a purpose. What is the purpose of this meeting? Is it to build a school? Is it to build a credit union? Is it to stop the violence? Is it to help our women? Is it to get our people off the street? Purpose! And you gotta have 2 sergeants of arms at every black meeting. You know why? Because there's always gonna be an ego in the room who think their opinion is more important than everybody else's. And they'll get on the microphone and they'll dominate the entire meeting because they think they got a God's right to make everybody listen to them. So you gotta have 2 sergeants of arms to put the big ego out so people can refocus on the task at hand. A lot of black people say, I don't want to meet no more. Well, guess what, brothers and sisters? If you don't want to meet, nothing changes. We have to meet. Chinese meet, Jews meet, Arabs meet. The problem is our meetings are undisciplined. Our meetings are unstructured. Our meetings are unorganized. The meeting is the heart and soul of organization. Without meeting, there will be no change. You and I can talk about that, Bob. Appreciate you. Who's my number 3? Go ahead, Elder.
My question involves how do you beat a local culture that holds everybody down? How do you pass through that, even when you join arms to the point where you get these people in the mindset that once they leave this joining of arms, it feels exist. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And so we have a local culture that is crab in the barrel.
But you can break it. Yeah. Frederick Douglass said, one man and God are a majority against the world.
Oh, I agree with that.
We can
That's
break
what
it.
I'm saying. We need to
find the people of like minds.
The people that once they link arms, that's not done when you leave the room. Keep that link alive and continue to progress forward to do the task at hand.
I agree with you. 2 points. Number 1, the reason why it's so hard for a lot of us to energize black people is black people are very perceptive. We can tell an opportunist when we see one. Whoever we put out front, and it shouldn't be one person, it should be a team. We got to get out of a European religious one messiah complex because they're going to do nothing but kill them or incarcerate them, and the whole movement going to waver. We got to have a leadership team, elders, youth, and everything in between. The problem is, too often we let our leaders choose us. Leaders ain't supposed to tell you they're the leader. The people supposed to decide who's going to represent them. See, we got people who anoint themselves, and they can do that because we're disorganized. If you were organized, there could be no self-anointed leader. But because we're disorganized, people choose us. And as you can see, they don't do much once they get in leadership. So we have to choose. The next mayor of Flint should come from the people. And in order for the next mayor of Flint to come from the people, taking nothing away from the current mayor because I don't know him. But guess what? Most black elected officials are Democrats. They are slaves of the Democratic Party. They can't serve the interests of black people because they're funded by the Democratic Party. So if we want the next mayor of Flint to be loyal to black people, you know what that means? That means you got to sacrifice your Christmas money and your 4th of July money and your New Year's money and finance his or her campaign. Your mayor, your council people will only be as loyal to us as we are financially loyal to them. If Dr. Umar comes to Flint and becomes mayor, but I got to get my money from Bank of America, I got to get my money from GM, I got to get my money from Ford, I'm going to sell out before I even step into the office. You got to keep your elected officials loyal by doing what? Financing the campaign. Voting is not the most important thing you do. Financing is the most important thing you do. Voting is the second most important thing you do. What did Maya Rothschild say? the Caucasian Jew who created the international banking cartel. You know what he said? He said, give me control over a people's money. I care not who makes the laws. Money runs politics. Politics don't run money. And until black people start using some of our $2 trillion to control these politicians, we'll never get anywhere. Let's rap, Baba. Let's rap. Who Queen Mother in the red?
I would like to know if we came together under one unity flag, like Marcus Garvey did, bringing all the nations around the world, because international is still national here, and we came up under one flag, and we, as a nation of people, will find a unity under a unified flag. I think that it would give a number of people a little bit more motivation to know that I belong to someone or a body of people, that we can eventually come together on one unified flag and make it a one national flag, like Marcus Garvey did. People are, the world together with one unified flag. And I think that every year, every city, every state should fly that red, black, and green flag throughout. Yeah, I'm going to have it done in Detroit. I'm working on that now. But the thing is, to have it flown over every city, every state in the United States on Black History Month, like they fly the flag in Detroit, the rainbow flag. They fly 3 times a year, even in June. So I think that we should think about unifying ourselves with that red, black, and green flag that Marcus Garvey did, and leave that for us to fall under, and that have that flag thrown over every capital, every city in the nation, to unify us as a people, as a nation of people. We must come together as a nation first before we can even unify anything else. To lobby for ourselves and for our vote or anything else, to know that we have people who are like-minded. What do you think?
I'm glad you said we have to organize ourselves as a nation first. As a Pan-Africanist, I totally agree with you with the red, black, and green flag. Most of us here know that the only real flag for African people is the red, black, and green anyway. But guess what, Queen Mother? We can fly the flag all day long. If you ain't got no organization, it becomes another empty, useless symbol. Stay with me. I love the red, black, and green. I pledge allegiance to it. But without the organization to back it up, it becomes another useless symbol. I don't want my flag flying around until black people are able to respect it, protect it, and defend it. Here's the other thing. Stay with me, Queen Mother. Our people are politically diverse. We are religiously diverse. We got gods and earths. We got Nation of Islam. We got Nawapians. We got the black socialists. We got the Hebrews. You see, we got Christians. We got Sunni Muslims. Here's my thing. Diversity is not a problem. It should be embraced as a strength. We don't have to agree on everything. We just have to agree on certain things. Because no matter what you believe, we all know the police are a problem. We all know the schools are a problem. We all know not having no hospitals are a problem. Let's unite around the purpose of building Black Wall Street in Flint, Michigan. And let's not get too caught up on the philosophical or the symbolic things that we have. You understand? Because there's certain people who ain't gonna grab RBG. There's certain people who ain't gonna grab the nation's flag. There's certain people who ain't gonna grab the Hebrew flag. There's certain people ain't gonna grab the Gaza Earth or the Nawapian flag. And that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. We just have to agree on certain things. At the end of the day, somebody who is sincerely committed to African people, it don't matter what flag you fly, because we're gonna unite anyway. It don't matter what flag he pledges allegiance to. If he's serious about solving our problems, me and him could work, even if the religion is different, even if the political ideology is different. So for me, I would rather organize with a Bible-carrying, politically unconscious Christian who cares, before I organize with a bunch of fake woke Negroes on YouTube who don't want to do nothing but fight and argue. So let us find the right people. Find the right people. When I go looking for people to work with, I don't just look for Pan-Africanists.
I look for anybody of any persuasion, of any creed, of any religion who wants to see black people do better. That's my criteria. And I'm diehard Pan-African, but I understand that the unity of all people is the essence and spirit of Pan-Africanism, and we have to promote the unity above and beyond the symbols and the ideologies. Thank you, Queen Mother. Queen.
For the younger generation, how do we encourage each other to make voices in a room full of deaf ears? So many people don't want to hear this, they don't want to preach this, they don't think it's their family, but how do you continue to encourage other people to use their voice to be impactful in their lives?
One of the biggest disappointments of the past 30 years is the fact that the white power structure has done a good job turning our college-age young people into coons, bourgeoisies, and sellouts. The civil rights movement, the sit-in movement, the freedom ride movement was born on the college campus. We would have never got the right to vote without black activists in college. We would have never got desegregation without black activists in college. You fast forward to today, most of our college-educated young people are fighting